Good morning, everyone. How are you? And welcome in. Give me a sound check in the chat. I'd appreciate it. Just had a cat jump all in my lap. Like she hasn't done that in a while since I went live, but here she is. Good morning, everybody. Like I said, welcome in. Y'all hit the thumbs up for me, please, if you don't mind. Help get the show into the algorithm. There's a lot of competition out there. Ow, cat, you got to get down with those nails. Jesus, sister. Oh, sorry, guys. Look, I put the dogs up, and then it's the cat who's harassing. What are we going to do with these animals, right? Oh, man. Let me get myself straight here. My cord was messed up. There we go. I think I'm okay now. So, how y'all been? I haven't been here in a couple of days. What is this? Sarah sent sunshine for 200 joules. What the hell is that? Thank you for what is that though? I don't know. Thank you. Something new there. That's awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Welcome in to my mods. Thank you for being here. Forrest is the only one here at the moment. I know he has to dip out a little early for an appointment. Thank you for coming in, Forrest, and be safe when you go out later. Welcome in, Simi Sharp, Teresia, good to see you. And again, Sarah, good to see you. Y'all welcome on in. Man, there's a lot going on out there. I took like 2 days. I had some unpacking and stuff to do and get organized back into the house, but also kind of took a mental break from the Nancy Guthrie case and true crime as a whole for a moment. There was a lot going on out there, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, it's not safe on the streets. I shall not go. But I did. I've been watching a lot of things in the back, listening to a lot of things in the background, I should say, while I've been busy around the house. And man, oh man, man, oh man. I know, Simi, I don't know what that was, but it's good. Whatever it was, that's nice. I don't even know how you do those. Sarah, how'd you do that? and what does it mean? That is so cool, though. Sound is perfect. Good deal. Good deal. All right. Well, guys, yesterday there was a rumor going around Twitter all day about this big update coming. It was allegedly going to come last night around 9 p.m., I think it was. Something big in the case and all this, that, and the other. All that was coming from the Midwest pundit news media, whoever they are. So Sarah says it's a new thing they are testing out on the YouTubes. All right. Well, we love the sunshine. I'm in the sunshine state and I hate winter. So that's my jams right there. Well, thank you for coming in hot with the sunshine because I absolutely love the sun. I don't like dark, cloudy, gray, and cold. Ugh, who wants that nastiness? Sad and depressing. We will take the sunshine. Okay, so I don't know if how many of you saw this or not. I'm going to try to pull up what they said directly from their Facebook. Of course, it didn't happen. Nothing, nothing panned out. There's been a lot of rumors and allegations made in this case from the get-go, and it just seems like lately, with nothing happening in the case, right? Are we now making up stuff to keep the momentum going for our clicks and views, or are we putting out things we think may be true? Who the hell knows anymore? And I think anybody right now, that the way this, hey, butterfly, you're not that late. We just got started. At this point, anybody who sits around and points a finger and calls somebody a grifter when they've got millions of ways for you to donate to their channel, what is that about? Let's stop it. Some people are just downright nasty individuals who will do whatever it takes to get a click and view. And it's not ever about money, it's about a big ego. It could be about a lot of things, right? But why would you? I don't do that over here. I try to steer away from the drama. We'll talk about it, but we don't start it, right? And we don't stir it, and we don't thumbnail it and act like it's, I'm just going to talk about it and we're going to laugh about it and move on, that kind of thing. But getting lines out there. People are just starting to cross lines. Some are, might get a wake up call and some may not, whatever. They're supposed to be adults. And to see the way adults act is like really weird. And the lack of critical thinking. Never in my life have I've seen some bad thinking happen in these cases, but Nancy Guthrie is starting to take the cake. Like it makes me worry about half of our society. I'll say that. Let me get this Facebook up while I'm trying to multitask here. What is this? Oh my gosh. I'm on Facebook, guys, and locally it was posted this morning. It says this lady, her name is Carolyn Miller. She is charged with aggravated assault for allegedly throwing 2 beer bottles at a 3-year-old boy who went to check on her after she fell off her bike. Miller reportedly told deputies she believed she was being attacked. What the hell? Deputies say several people, including the boy's parents, witnessed the incident. I'm sorry, if I'm a parent and I witness you throw beer bottles at my baby, you're about to need an ambulance. She thought she was being attacked by a 3-year-old. How many beer bottles did she have on her bicycle? She like carry a 6-pack and a little cooler attached in a backpack or something? Holy hell. Just when you think you see it all. Where'd that happen? Fort Walton Beach. Okay. Well, goodness. Right next door. Wow. Wow. Okay. Lord help us all with this one. Let me pull up this Facebook page. Okay, y'all, I'm trying to get everything set on one side so I can see the whole thing and you guys can see it. Okay, I think we're good. All right, let me see here. Hey, Jet, welcome in. Good morning. Well, it's almost noon now for us. 11 a.m. almost here in Central Standard Time. All right. So this is the account, the Midwest Pundit over on Facebook. I don't know. I mean, I've known about him for a while, but I just don't ever go there for like a resource, right? Oh goodness. Okay. So they have some breaking news. They say that the ransom to Bitcoin guy, which would be south of the border guy, not the first 2 original ransom notes, to be confused, highly confused, with the second batch of letters that came only from south of the border guy, claims the ransom to Bitcoin guy was paid. He admitted in emails that she never made it to Mexico, but was alive for 1 to 2 days. Well, in the past, he did say she made it to Mexico. Bitcoin guy was eavesdropping, and then he found out his information because he eavesdropped on a so a couple of guys cross into Mexico with Miss Nancy, stumble into a bar and start talking about what they did, and this guy overhears the conversation. How do you eavesdrop on kidnappers? The main suspect kidnapper's initials are JHRG. He was throwing that in there for that I told you so moment. Okay, so if they arrest somebody and the initials are JHRG, then this guy's right. Otherwise, he's full of shit. New details: ransom paid, information points away from Mexico. Unlikely dude is connected. The FBI has a person of interest. And he says in this post This morning, this is 47 minutes ago. See, I haven't even seen this one. Right, Jet? Come on. This morning, a memory came flooding back. An old mariachi playing a song in a dim lit bar off the Avenue de los Maestros in Nogales. I can still taste the cold indio and the incredible Puroco. What the hell? I'm likely paraphrasing, but as I recall, the lyrics went something like this: J is for the way you look at O say, H is for the only Noel, R is for very, very extra rich. That's the initials of the person he claims abducted Miss Nancy. What the hell? See, this guy is posting weird stuff, so why wouldn't he be taken seriously? Fantastic song, great bar, food and drink. The joint event had a payphone in the back. What is that even supposed to mean? Again, was the guy in a bar and overheard some kidnappers talking about what? That's weird. And then last night talked about reaching out to some sources anyway. See, so here's where that rumor came from on Twitter. Announcement: major Nancy Guthrie investigation update coming at 9 p.m. People were literally posting that without even linking where they saw it, and were saying, "Oh, it's word on the street is this." Word on the street? What street? Miss Nancy's? Not laughing at Miss Nancy, but I'm laughing at the misinformation coming off of her street. That update never came, by the way. And this is him, I guess. This is his page. Okay. So I don't know really. I guess they're like a morning news thing, or not a morning news thing, but just a news thing. But yes, so they have claimed commentary, big night, the feds, not Pima, have an idea. Finding the sole survivor is the journey to justice. What in the world? Your cryptic ass post. Um, Good evening, breaking down these updates. Oh, you got a comment from good old Criminal Network right there. You've had a lot to. You had Was that your apology letter you wrote? Criminal Network. We'll review. We'll review and determine what we think. Okay, so I think this account may be full of it too. They have been posting back since, oh, what was it? Late February. Something big is coming, right? They've had multiple posts about that. Something big coming. Um, was this weird shit? Um, I was trying to get to this one post they had. Let me see. I read you the one. Okay, see, they're just a lot of bull. It's not a kid. This is not a page I ever followed a lot. I have seen some of the stuff they posted, but it was just like, yeah, it's damn Facebook. Facebook is far worse than TikTok and YouTube. Far worse. I don't even like venturing off into all those weird Facebook groups. You can't even make a legit Facebook group about a missing individual or murdered person, because you're going to get all the crazies coming out of the woodwork, right? I mean, all of them are going to be coming in. And the critical thinkers trying to actually share, you know, good information that might help, it gets swallowed up by all the weird stuff, like 1,000 different theories that don't make sense. I can't with them Facebook groups. You'll just jump into a rabbit hole and you'll never come out. Forrest, have another tequila, Sheila. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, so it's been wreaking havoc over there, with their post, and then not going anywhere with it. Uh, Even like this weird post here. Not sure I'm following completely, but got the JHRG. See, like, what does that even? Lord. So that is where that information was coming from, was from that account. Now, we all know there's been a lot of bad information being posted out there, a lot of misinformation being posted out there, and flat out slanderous stuff, and bizarre practices, I guess you could say. I would like to remind everybody the reason we are not allowed to broadcast any of Barry Morphew's court hearings, including trial, was a direct result of JLR Investigates. And that, I'm not making that up. Come at me if you want to. I'm not in the mood. So don't. In fact, if you come in here with it, I can prove it. We got receipts. But I don't think of people who watch me are like trolling to see if I talk about JLR today. In fact, JLR is trying to shut folks down left and right that do talk about him. Rumor has it he took down Molly Golightly's channel, but upon further investigation, it seems like Molly got it took down all by Molly's old self, because Molly was already banned from the YouTube, right? Y'all do you over there in messy land. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't even know what's going on over there half the time. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, I mean, there's just been a lot. And when people come out and make these posts about all these, grifters and true crimers, there was only a very few select that were doing certain things. And when they are now, they're still allowing YouTubers to go out to Nancy Street. Shit, there was one out there as of what was it yesterday, the day before, had to use the porta potty and somebody called the cops. They're still out there. But when you go chasing family members around and sitting in front of Nancy's house and making wild accusations, people might start to get a little offended and want you gone. That's on you, but it turns everybody against the entire community who want to do good for cases and want people found and don't got to make up shit to get people to come watch the show. Realize you're full of it eventually, I would hope. All right, so let me pull up this next thing. I didn't realize I was blocked on the Twitters by this person. I don't even know what I did. I was like, oh, just like JLR. I asked a question one time about Dylan Mortensen that you didn't like, and you blocked me for it. But Magnolia never did. JLR. Like, that was so petty, dude. And I've been blocked ever since. Then I realized this morning that other guy blocked me. I'm like, well, damn. Did I say something that hit a nerve? Big bad men like to block the women. She talked bad about me. But I'm going to talk shit about all, this is so weird. Whatever. Show your true colors, you big babies. Big old babies. Can't handle a little criticism or an honest question. Says more about you than it does anything else. Oh, I'm going to have to go into my alt account to do this. Hold on. Well, it's not my alt account. Oh, I don't have it on the oh, never mind. It's my other Twitter. Let me see if I can actually do it, if it'll let me at least pull up the post. I know what I'll do. I'll just use Nerdy's since the boy got me blocked. The boy got me blocked. That's okay. Nerdy doesn't. All right, let me get down to the actual post where it's highlighted. It was posted on Twitter for everyone to see, so there you go. All right. Share my screen again, get it up here. Post by Criminal Network, aka Alex, aka Big Man on the Streets, wait, wasn't he JLR's bodyguard? He was also deep in the Delphi community. And absolutely loved going after the families. Literally, his only theories was the family. I gave all the videos a chance, reviewed them with an open mind. Some of them were pretty intriguing, but never quite got there. I evaluated this account for over a year before Nancy Guthrie because of the things I saw in Delphi and all the allegations I saw against family. This post says, "Sorry to make this about me, but I was woken up by family members calling me, and it brought me down so hard that it's honestly difficult to even go live anytime soon." Well, I didn't last long, I don't think. "I hate airing out dirty laundry, but this is what was said to me. They told me I embarrassed them. They said they saw me on my lives. What they saw on my lives was cringe, that I look like a pervert, that I motorboated, and I saw it with my own eyes, that I motorboated Nancy Guthrie's titties. And they even asked if I was back on dope." Now, he talked all about motorboating, big old titties. Talked about how he drove a mammogram van around, mobile mammogram, giving women mammograms. No, sir, you wouldn't touch me. Don't know if it's true, but that's what he claimed, and he went into the motorboat and titties right after he mentioned doing mammograms on women. And they asked him if he was back on dope. They said, "I'm painting a bad picture for the family and for any future jobs." I tried to speak up, but it just kept going. They told me I've done nothing for Nancy, that I'm making a mockery of the case, that I need to self-reflect and take accountability, that I'm putting the family at risk. They brought up the FBI badge at Nancy's house, the one he wore around one day. They brought up the FBI badge at Nancy's house and said I'm making fun of the disabled. I cried through the entire phone call. None of what was said about me is true, or has it been taken out of context. And thing is, I finally found something I like doing, something I can actually make a living with. Make a living with. YouTube? Only a few get to make a living, a full whole ass living off of YouTube. I am so far from it. I got fucking bills I can't pay right now. Let me drop a million ways to send me money. Lord help us. And the thing is, I finally found something, okay, he likes to do. You can't mix true crime with comedy, basically being told to change. I'm 54 years old. This is who I am. I already have the costume. I've never wanted to embarrass any of you. My apologies, Alex from Criminal Network. Anybody have something nice to say about me, put it in the comments, and hopefully my family will see this. When you got your own family calling you up and saying, "What the hell are you doing?" That's pretty bad. So he went on to post, I think, that after some overnight, how do you actually, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up here, because I don't know if I'll let me. Apparently, overnight, got an education on life, and it worked. Okay. Now, this is after throwing out numerous names of random people throughout the case history here, and then going hard after the family as well. The especially Annie and Tom. Okay. Tommaso, Tommy, whatever they want to call him. I don't really care. He's not my husband. Okay. The post says from 7 hours ago, The new Alex is a force of evolution, refined, relentless, and unapologetically real. After completing multiple advanced courses overnight and earning a bachelor's degree, here's now the mind he's now the mind behind 7 new patents, whatever that means. He commands his empire with precision and still keeps his edge, smoking weed, cussing freely, and staying true to his unfiltered roots. Alex has mastered both intellect and emotion, having completed anger management and social media guideline efficiency programs to sharpen his communication and leadership, all overnight. He's not just smarter, he's strategic, centered, and heart driven. This version of Alex isn't a comeback, it's a rebirth. And he's inviting you all to join him over on YouTube. A man of a new perspective, grounded in authenticity, fueled by purpose, and ready to move forward. Did Chat GTP write that? Because that's weird. Like, I don't get it why you have to, you shouldn't have to issue apology statements for your content. You just shouldn't. And what is the purpose of putting out all the bad stuff when you actually know when you go to post what you're posting probably is just, remember that when JLR first began to go down there and was posting or posted up outside of Nancy's, and Alex showed up and immediately started throwing out names. And JLR's like, "Oh yeah, give me the names, give me the name." And that's how it started. The next thing you know, he's back. And then it went from the Kayla Day of it all, and the what's his name, that other guy, to back to the families, right? But you cannot blame just Criminal Network and JLR for going after the families any longer. You can't. Yeah, they're doing it, but they're not the only ones doing it. People who think they're an actual legit true crime channel are also doing it. The ones with integrity who would never speculate. They don't do that on their channel, according to them. They don't speculate. Ma'am, what the hell did I just watch for 2 hours? Speculation. I find it odd that people want to make themselves appear more credible. They I don't know, it's weird. It's just a weird space to be in sometimes and navigate, you know what I mean? All the bad information that comes out, then they're going to come into your chats when they hear about it and try to tell you what's up. So I always try to pay attention to all the BS being said out there, so when it comes into the chat, I'm aware of where it's coming from, and if we need to explore it, we will, right? But how can you continue to follow and promote somebody who has to come out and make these statements? And how can you watch them physically imitate motorboating? And it's weird. I don't know. It's icky, and I don't understand why people do it. Who can understand the human mind anymore? Not even those experts that do that for a living can understand who. I got questions from them about people who do this kind of stuff on social media, though. We're so focused on the perpetrator at the door kind of thing. What about the people who post weird stuff? Can we profile them and see what's up with those people? So I don't know, between Criminal Network though and JLR and the Midwest Pundit, JLR was posting things are coming, all this stuff, and I don't believe nothing that guy says. I've never, hell, I didn't watch a thing he did for the longest time until he was outside of Miss Nancy's, and then we watched the streams. But remember, I would mute him because I couldn't. Him talking just bothered me. Okay, now I'm fully aware about the Anna Kepner case happening, guys. I have not downloaded the 35 documents yet. I just haven't. I just haven't had the want to. I've been busy the last 2 days, plus just trying to stay away from social media. But I've been taking all my notes and trying to keep up with what has been happening. We know that federal grand jury indictment has been handed down. I do have the indictment. It's very, very limited in information, right? but there are, and in the 35 documents that are unsealed, there's some repetitive information within those documents. We know from the documents now that there was SA involved, and so we'll have to get the documents and get read through them and do all the things. But that, of course, will be a show on its own. Um, I think people have had access. I think Paula. I think I can get the doc. I can actually go to Pacer and download them and pay for them, or I can go to Paula's, or which is Plunder's Patreon. She has them all over there too, and I can get them from there and download them, because you can't. They're not available online. You have to go to Pacer to get them, and then you got to pay for them. And she's already done that, so I can go to her Patreon and pay and get them all downloaded and set up a show for it. So I have been keeping up with the information on that as well. Oh, and then Connor over on YouTube actually did release all 45 of the new photos of Brian Koberger without watermarks and anything on them. And I didn't know that people were, I don't know if it was pro burgers or who it was, people thinking that those photos of Koberger's hands were altered. It's like, no, man, really? Everything we see now is going to, oh, that's altered. Somebody on X, Nerdy, posted a story about a 3-year-old little boy who was attacked by a lady, and there was a screenshot from the body cam of the bitch standing there with a big ass knife where she cut the baby on the face. People in the comments, that's AI. I went and linked them the actual news story that it was fucking real. The bitch did do it. She attacked the 3-year-old little boy at the damn parking lot of the grocery store, and she cut his little face. It wasn't AI. You could be smarter. Go research. People needed to start doing. Not everything is fake and phony. Not everything. Some of it is. Koberger's hands, though, I'm not convinced that dude was scrubbing and bleaching hands. I've known for years that Koberger has autoimmune disease. I've known for a long time, and I've pointed it out several times. Certain things will happen. Autoimmune disease is a freaky ass disease to have, and I know because I have it. My child has it. My mother has it. My sister. And there's probably a couple of more nieces and nephews yet to be diagnosed. We don't know what causes autoimmune disease, what triggers it. There's multiple varying speculation of the causes, and there are many different autoimmune diseases out there. And when you have an autoimmune disease, the thing is your body reacts different and attacks what is good by thinking it's bad. And it wreaks havoc on your body. There's a possibility what's wrong with Koberger's hands is a direct result of his autoimmune disease. I'm not going to sit here and say that guy was trying to scrub off his fingerprints or his, some people wanted to go live and talk about it so sympathetically. His OCD was so bad he just scrubbed his hands all the time. But he wore the fucking gloves. Remember? Y'all said he wore gloves because of his germophobia stuff. So what's he scrubbing off of his hands? Powder from his latex gloves? Critical thinking, pay attention. All right, moving on. Because Koberger's pictures weren't that fascinating. We'll get back to him eventually. Once again, his ass ain't going nowhere. All right. Okay. To the ransom note situation. I have nothing really to say about it because I don't know if that has to be a whole show conversation. But there's something I wanted to show you guys that was curious. You know how I've told y'all in the past, missing persons cases, and locally there's 2, and I know both of the families, and I've talked to them. One of them has told me this story, and she knows I've shared it, and she does not mind because she wants other families of the missing to be aware. How she would get these random messages on Facebook, because people troll the Facebooks groups and missing person pages, and they get the missing person's information and they contact the family. We have information about your loved one. Pay me and you'll get it. I had an in-depth conversation with Tiffany Daniels' mother about the messages that she kept receiving about Tiffany. Nobody has seen Tiffany to this day. We have no fucking clue what happened to that girl or where she went, who took her, what happened. No one knows. The last person to ever see her well, not to ever see her, but the person who lived in her home, who was with her the night before, died of natural causes. So the only suspect may be dead. But she continued to get multiple messages about, I know things. And Cindy got downright nasty with that person. Said, okay, you got information on my daughter? You need to send me this. And her husband was like, what? And she's like, I'm tired of it. She got tired of it. That's what they do to families. Now, in the Gannon Stock case, now these emails, not the first two, second batch south of the border guy, was probably just a guy looking to make a buck because he said too many things in his early communications with TMZ that didn't match up. He said two things specifically. I only have information, but then later said, now the situation is getting dire and I'll lead you to the body kind of thing. Like, dude, you only have information. How do you don't know anything else other than that, you claimed. He tripped himself up a couple of times. But it happens. Let me see. What did I do in my document here that I wanted to show you guys? This was in the Gannon Stock case. Oh, where did I save it to? What the hell? Oh, I know what I did. Hold on. I sent it to myself somewhere else. I have 3 places where I'll send things to myself and then I will forget which place I sent it. I'm like, I know I have that. And then it'll dawn on me. I'm like, dummy, get it together. Man, I'm going to tell y'all what. If y'all seen the Dominator 3, that bitch is badass. Okay. Like, I want to go for a ride in the Dom. Okay, let me pull up the document here. Let me grab it and then. Okay. This is from Letitia Stouck's arrest affidavit, which I'm going to say we have it, so we'll go over before when we start discussing her upcoming appeal or new trial. So go down to page number 21. A tip line was established and investigators received hundreds of tips and leads from the public by virtue of emails and telephone calls. As part of this tip line, 2 ransom notes were received by email demanding money in the form of Bitcoin in exchange for Gannon's return. Investigators took steps to validate these ransom notes, including resolving and geolocating the Internet Protocol, the IP, addresses from the email headers, and requesting subscriber information from the Internet service providers that hosted those IP addresses. One of those ransom notes was sent from a foreign-based email account that is accessible by multiple individuals. Investigators were unable to trace the user of the IP address and believe the ransom notes to be fraudulent. Now, investigators could not trace the IP address. Multiple people with access to the accounts. Interesting, isn't it? South of the border guy, part of a network of guys like this. How many cases has this happened in? Nobody had information on where Gannon Stock was. except for Letitia. But there you go, it's right there. I guarantee you, other family members of missing children have probably received similar communications. It's never, you know, it is what it is. That's why everybody's like, oh, it's a scam, it's a this, it's a that. Well, no, we know that. We knew with the second batch of letters that was probably the case. But people have, lumped the first two in with the rest. All right, that's a whole other show. One of my favorite things to do, like watch these profilers, right? So Brian Entin interviewed both Dr. Ann Burgess and Dr. Gary Brucato at different times within days of each other. And they were interesting. Like I couldn't hear, my ears felt clogged. Did any of y'all see the interviews done that Brian did with Dr. Ann and Dr. Gary? Let me put my Anna Kepner page over here out of my way. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, let me see. Aristocrat, welcome in. Simi, you're sanding a floor. Oh, goodness. Well, we'll keep you company while you be busy. Whistle while you work. No, then you won't be able to hear us. Hey, Keith, welcome in. Welcome in. Okay, so you saw them, Jet? Yes. Remember how I'm like, how do you profile the guy at the door if we don't know his intent? We don't know why he's there. Obviously, he's there to do something, but what? If he's there to essay an old lady, you got a different profile. If it's a breaking and entering thug in the night, you got a different profile. A kidnap for ransom, different profile. Stalker obsessed person, different profile. How do you profile a guy if you don't know why he's there? Dr. Ann would agree, it seems. Dr. G does not. He's got a little more to say. It's wild. It's really wild to compare their what they said, since they work so closely together, right? And they have worked so closely together, I guess. Dr. B said as my thoughts as well. Do y'all know Dr. B's thoughts are, if you watch the interview room, it's the family dynamics. He he would be more inclined to believe family was involved than anything else. Or so follow the money. To what? To the Bitcoin addresses or Nancy's money? Because I don't think Savannah needs it. And if Annie and Tom are so good they've even fooled the FBI, hey, FBI was the ones back in their house, remember? Searching and doing all the things. Pima County, we don't know what they do or did or didn't do. I don't care. But I know the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, we all saw it live on YouTube. Went all up in Annie Guthrie's house and photographing the garage, taking a vehicle, kept it for weeks on end. Yet no arrests were made. So people think that Annie and Tom would kill Nancy to get her house. And I know there's a lot of rumors out there about Annie being Wiccan, but I'm gonna stand my ground and say, are y'all fools? I mean, it's to the point where so if we, if cops cannot make an arrest in a case within a certain amount of time, is society ready to say, well, then it's the family? Because then you're saying that families are so smart, they can do whatever they want to each other, and the cops will never know. That's what we're saying. When every time a case goes cold, it's got to be the family. Why? Yeah, Dr. G doesn't necessarily believe it was a kidnapping ransom gone wrong. Actually, he kind of does, but he still thinks the person is extremely connected to the family. This guy's he filed in Koberger. And now he thinks Koberger's going to reach out via letter and ask him, how did you know? You gave a textbook profile, sir. That's what you did. And it's not close to what Brian Koberger really is. It's just like a what? Well, both things can be true. We know it was a bad investigation. We know that, right? At this point in time, what, 75 days in, we are absolutely convinced, because we have seen it with our own eyes, it was a botched investigation very early on from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not so people now, certain experts, now that 75 days have passed and they've calmed down and they can think back, they're they're not so sure this guy was that stupid after all. And hey, blame them. They're the one, all the experts came out and told us all, this guy's not very bright. He don't even know how to wear his gun. And look at him using them flowers. Now I want you to know, not only Ashley Banfield and Gray Hughes, but now Jennifer Coffendorfer also believes the vines may have been being used to remove the camera. Upon further review and slow down for a moment and actually look at it with my own eyes instead of listening to what everybody tells me I'm seeing. I wonder what the doctor would think about the family dynamics between the guy at the door and the female he knows. That'd be interesting. Them family dynamics, you're right, they do play a big part in stuff. And so does boyfriend, girlfriend. Men and women apparently will do anything for each other, including spend 20 something years together drinking their life away and get into fights constantly, and one falls off a little dingy boat and all hell breaks loose. I can't with that case. I can't with grown-ups drinking their life away and fighting like it's nothing, and then something bad happens and we're all supposed to jump on board and be like, yep, you killed her. I don't know what happened out there on that sea. They were both drunk in a little dinghy. And I've watched a lot. I have consumed a lot about that case over the past 48, 3 days, however long it's been going on. I've been watching all of it. And I'm like, nah, I don't know what's happened there. It's weird the guy left the Bahamas, but whatever, right? I don't want to get too deep involved in that case because I will probably have things to say people won't like. If you want me to jump on a bandwagon that he pushed his wife off the dinghy in the middle of a fight, he could have. She could have fell her drunk ass off as well. I don't know. They were drinking. And I don't do adults who think they, like the Karen Reed case, I regretted streaming that case, that trial. All I saw was a bunch of drunk ass grown ups living a messy ass life. And I can't with that. So that's why I'm not really, that case is just like, I'm just consuming that case like the rest of you, but it's not going to be one that I cover here. I just want to let y'all know, because unless y'all expect me to, um, I don't know what I can add to it except drunk couple fights all the time. Man claims woman falls overboard. Man's detained. Man's let go. Man leaves Bahamas. Ashley Banfield's covering it hot and heavy, and she's got some good footage. So y'all can go over there and check that out. It's worth watching. I found it informative to help me in my mind try to figure out was something really is like him saying the waters were choppy and all this. I wanted to evaluate that case and then before I jump to any conclusions, right? I've always said that, Jet. Here's the thing: when you when that images came out, right? The video. There's a guy at the door. Automatically, they're there to kidnap Miss Nancy. That was the only thing that entered my mind. Oh my God, she's being robbed. Never entered my mind. Oh my God, she's about to be essayed. Never entered my mind because I knew who she was at that point. She's Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, right? Why would anybody want to take her for other than fucking money? Unless you're an obsessed person and want to hurt Savannah, right? Um, it was obvious from the beginning if that was a kidnapping, that was a hired gun at the door. I didn't use the term cook in the kitchen and all that. My term was hired gun because that's exactly what he was. If it was a kidnap for ransom, he's absolutely the hired gun. He didn't sit back for months and months scheming. He could be the only person. How do we know, right? But it don't make sense that he is because we can see 2 to 3 people, at least 2 are involved. He dead ass looks at one when he picks up the vine to go take the camera off. He's looking at somebody, the other person standing over there in the dark that we can't see. He's absolutely looking at somebody. Y'all go watch the video again and watch his little gesture. There's somebody else in Nancy's yard. We can't see them. But he's not the mastermind. No. Never thought that he was like the lone wolf, guy that could pull all the. Hey, somebody's pulled something off. I mean, look, 75 days later, no Miss Nancy and no leads. No person of interest, no vehicle of interest, nothing. Except for the Nest Cam stuff and some weird thumbnails we heard about with people in Nancy's backyard, except the night of the crime, nothing. And we don't know why. That night, nothing. What we need to figure out, Jet, is who put the guy up to that at the door. Because if it was a kidnapping gone wrong, meaning Miss Nancy passed away in the event, that guy's long gone or he's no longer on Earth. If he was if anybody thought for a second that guy was going to be a loose end, it got tightened up. Oh man, they got you on fucking camera. We cannot have that. If it's a kidnapping. Hey Rachel. Hey Asha. Yeah, there's no way. I believe that the Porch guy was the hired gun, or that is if he's a part of the kidnapping plot, right? He was hired and put there. Did he? Is he laying extremely low and got the hell gone? Who knows? Will finding him help get to the person who did make the plan, if it's the plan, right? Finding him would help. Could help if he's willing to turn on him. That's what they're expecting. The counting on at this point. All right, so let me get to this. So the doctors both appeared on Brian Entin, and both to me had similar thoughts, but also Anne seemed to be a lot more reserved because she says we just don't have enough information. And nothing she says gives me the indication she's pointing a finger at a family member. unlike Dr. Gary. And I'm just about giving y'all I'm not like throwing shade and being mean or attacking. I'm giving my honest opinion on the two very different profiles coming from these two individuals. And on the interview room, when he did have Ann Burgess on the panel, Anne Maureen was on there at the same time with a room full of men. And they began to explore the possibility of a female. And something Maureen said really perked up Dr. Ann. And she's like, tell me more. They shut those two women down and went on about whatever. And it was irritating to me. And Anne's not been back on the panel since. Not saying that was the reason. I'm just saying she hasn't been back on. I think she did once, but they never really got back to that subject or that to touch on that conversation. Because if you don't believe it was a kidnap for ransom, then what the hell do you believe? Oh, I know. Annie and Tom are doing it because they want Nancy's house because they don't want to pay for their own house because there was I watched somebody for a review and they were like, I don't even think Annie had a job. I'm like, what? Why are you putting that out there? Annie absolutely had a job. She had multiple things going on. Where's that coming from? Annie didn't work. Tom's this. They're Wiccan. Annie's a weirdo. Annie's on drugs. Like, what? Where is all that coming from? And how do you know? How do you know? One of Annie's friends reach out and talk to them people giving out all this information about Annie and Tom being broke, having no future, sick and tired of taking care. Did y'all know that Miss Nancy wasn't that bad off, right? We all are like, oh, Savannah said she could barely walk to the mailbox. And my grandfather couldn't either, but he kept doing it until he absolutely couldn't. But that was before Alzheimer's came along. Just because he couldn't get to the mailbox easily anymore didn't mean my pawpaw was gone in the head. All right. That video of Nancy Guthrie with Savannah came out last November. The woman was absolutely on top of her game. Her mind was there. How can you go from seeing that in November to her being kidnapped in February and everybody's got her chalked up to being some raggedy old lady who don't know what the hell's going on in life, barely feeble. Go watch the November video. That's not who Nancy Guthrie is. She just couldn't get to the mailbox that great anymore. That day's coming for all of us. That don't mean your mind left with your body. Because your back ain't working properly don't mean you lost your mind, right? Please don't label us as that because your day's coming. Your day is coming. And then I want you to remember how you made fun of not y'all, but y'all know what I mean. People out here got there all heard. They might as well put her in a nursing home the way some described Miss Nancy. It's crazy. And that goes back to people blaming the family. Oh, she should never have lived alone. She needed all this help. No, she didn't. And if Annie and Tom did do something, man, somebody's pretty fucking brilliant. Not even the FBI can solve it. That's why I don't think it was the family. Because I don't think Annie and Tom are that brilliant to hire the guy at the door. That means Tom would have had to hire the guy at the door. He knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. I don't know. Could have been his friend. I don't know. That would have to mean they hired him to go up there and take Miss, because that's not Tom at the door. Anybody who wants to say that's Tommaso at the door and you compared the gates because of that one guy's video, what about the eyes? What about those eyes? That's not Tommaso at the damn door. He would have to have hired the person. And if I'm Annie Guthrie and I'm taking care of my mama full time because my sister's off living her best life and making bank doing it, me and my sister are going to have a damn talk. Bottom line. Say what you want. If I can't work because I need to be mama's caregiver, and mom is determined to stay in that home, and I got to do all this, what are you doing, sis? Besides going on TV and exploiting our mother. Oops. Oh, did I say that out loud? I better stop before I get in trouble with it. I can't. There's a lot of sympathy out there for Savannah Guthrie and absolutely none for Annie. Because people think she did it. Because the cops can't do their damn job and catch the guy at the door. Pima County Sheriff couldn't do his job correctly. Oh, he came out and was forced into clearing the family. That's why we know they're guilty. Okay. We'll see when the arrest comes in about 10 years. I'm not banking on an arrest coming anytime soon. Because all they have to go on is that mixture of DNA. Unless something has come up from their Bitcoin guy or their first 2 ransom notes. I even watched somebody the other day who said, I don't even know how in the world Savannah believed those 2 might be real. Calling her foolish. She saw the first 2. If you paid attention to what she said in the interview, she said she didn't see the second batch, round 2 of TMZ letters. The ones the FBI know are fake. She didn't see those, but she saw the first 2. People didn't even catch that. Didn't even catch it. So people want to come out and, call Savannah ignorant for even entertaining those first. Where did she even get that? Probably from the FBI. And talks they had when those first 2 came out. Because we have to absolutely, this might be something, right? They can't automatically chalk it up to nothing. But it's weird that people are doing those things. I just find it. Oh, and then we got another guy. How did I almost forget this? Sleuth Intuition. Let me get. All right, I'm going to pull this up because I don't know how many of you have seen this out there as well. So I'd already told you about Criminal Network's statement. We all know the bad information they've been putting out and names of people they've been putting out, wanting everybody to go investigate. It turned out to be nothing. The Midwest Pundit's bullshit media post. Now somebody's reached out to Sleuth Intuition, claiming that the Porch guy's his brother. Half brother. Hold on. Let me get this set up. Okay. So where I start this at, the guy had back here. Anyway, he got his video, audio shit straight. Okay, so a guy left a comment and it said, this was a satanic sacrifice committed by my family members. Nancy was killed for her Christian beliefs and to destroy her children, most especially Savannah Guthrie. All of this was planned more than 6 years in advance and is outlined in September of 2019's Burger Chef cipher. This also serves as a map to Nancy's dismembered remains, which will be found in Rose Canyon Lake up on Mount Lemmon. Deposited into deep water near the dam. Full snow moon. Did you call and get your $1 million rewards yet? Whatever it's up to now? No, but he called Sleuth Intuition. And here's a little bit of that.
Yeah, you sound great. And you said your name was what?
My name is Richard Nolette Jr. I'm the half brother of the guy at the front door, at Nancy's front door. His name is Mike Nolette.
Am I?
He says the guy at the door is a guy named Mike Nolette. Is going to be his brother. Now, he called in to Sleuth and discussed this, and then I think he did a live interview with Sleuth. May have been last night. I'm not positive. Hey, Dolphin, we're just getting started. We ain't really kind of talked. We went over a couple of misinformation type stuff, and then I let them know a little bit of the Anna Kepner. I got plans to do that later, not today, but we're going to get to it. But now we're just getting into all this. All right, so this is the guy who called. His name, he says he is Richard Nolette Jr. and his brother is Mike Nolette. Okay.
Mike?
Well, his full name is Michael, but he goes by the name Mike.
Mike. How do you spell the last name?
N as in Nancy, O-L-E, T-T-E.
Okay. And Richard, tell me what's going on here, buddy. Please help me understand.
Well, I was raised in a family that was really violent, but I thought was a heck of a lot more normal than this. A few years ago, I started realizing that my family is satanic and they're serial killers. And if I told you the whole story, you would never believe it. Even this is.
He's got a family of satanic serial killers. Oh.
A lot to believe.
Yeah, I mean, why should we believe you? I believe you, but why should the public believe you? This is extreme.
Well, I've been trying to contact law enforcement since the beginning of March, actually, and nobody, including law enforcement, will sit down and go through the Burger Chef cipher with me. But it sounds so ridiculous. But the people that put it together made it sound really innocent and ridiculous, so that anybody that brings it up your credibility will automatically be put into question.
Mm-hmm. It sounds far-fetched. How do we understand this? I love a cipher.
Well, I mean, I'll just get right to the point. I mean, if I'm going to be ridiculous, why not be completely ridiculous?
Yeah.
My father in the early 60s through the 1980s worked as a FBI and CIA, what they call a wet work man. He was a person who got rid of people that they wanted. If they wanted somebody to be shut up, he took care of them, and he was a professional killer, basically. In the late 1960s,
somebody put he sounds legit. Was that a joke?
He became one of the most well-known serial killers. Known but unknown, if that makes any sense to you, serial killers that the country has ever had. My name and his name, well, we share the same name, by the way. I don't know if I told you, but my name is Richard Nolette Jr., and he's Richard Nolette Sr. Back then, he worked at Mare Island, and one of his nicknames was RR because our first and middle initials are RR. Anyhow, in the 1969, he sent his first cipher to the San Francisco Chronicle.
All right, this guy claims that the Porch guy is his half brother. So you would think it would be easy for him to walk into a sheriff's department with photos of his brother and say, seriously, this is my brother at the door, right? He's over there saying, well, no cops will sit down and go through the cipher with me. He's tried to reach out to to law enforcement since March to give them this information. It's wild. And the more he talks and the more he rambles, the more it sounds like that guy need his meds, right? And then I think somebody on Twitter or X actually broke it down and were like, the guy at the door would have had to have been like, they kind of debunked what he was saying. But that's where the rumors, if you're hearing rumors about Michael Nolette, I don't even know who that is, and I'm not going to search him and blast this person based off a random caller to Sleuth Intuition that that's my brother and he's the guy at the door, right? But how reckless can you get? Not saying Sleuth is, but this guy that the call in, I don't even know if I would have put it out there, honestly, if somebody called me or sent me that information. I don't know what I would do with that. What am I supposed to do with it?
The Examiner and one other newspaper. It was sent in 3 different parts to the major newspapers of the San Francisco Bay Area. And together they formed his first cipher, which is called the Z408 cipher. Well, 4 years ago, after a dozen years of therapy,
after a dozen years of therapy, the guy literally talks about all the you can tell this caller has mental health issues.
I basically saw my name in the middle of the Z408, but at that time I didn't have all the keys to putting the whole puzzle together. I just saw that, wow, that's really unusual. My name is in the middle of the Z408 cipher. Well, sometime later, I was able to put all the puzzles together, all the pieces together to the puzzle. And in the fall of 1970, a year after he sent the Z408.
Wow. That guy does not sound like he's playing with a full deck, right? Nothing he said made a lot of sense during that interview. Like, that's over on Sleuth Intuition channel, guys, if you're really interested. And like I said, I think he did end up going live with Sleuth. I don't know what you could have gotten from a live with the guy, right? Other than get everybody in there to hear him out. I don't even know why hear him out when should we hear him out and then determine if he's wackadoodle, or just chalk it up to already being wackadoodle? You know what I mean? Police and FBI watch Facebook posts. They watch X posts. This name is now out there. They've probably looked at it by today because this guy put it out there. Now, again, I think the guy's a little got a little issues going on up there, because if you listen to all the things he says, right, you could tell that he just wasn't playing for him. He mentions it more than once, Dolphin, about the years of therapy or the dozens of years of therapy. He talks about it multiple times, about all the therapy he's been through and different things. I'm like, that's when you can start to tell we're dealing with a guy who not playing with a full deck. I don't know what the polite term to use is anymore. You're going to get slammed no matter what you say sometimes. But the guy ain't playing with a full deck, and it was obvious, right? It's just that happens too, along with the people who purposely set out to put out false information. It also brings out the ones with the mental issues, right? That might have something. Oh, are we closed-minded idiots because of the guy there? Closed-minded idiots, you're going to feel like shit when this all comes out. Of course he has issues. Yeah, but are you saying that there's validity to what he's saying, that this Mike is the brother's the Porch guy, and there's no arrest today? Cops aren't after Porch guy Mike, aka Michael Nillette? Why not? If we can find him in 5.seconds, can't the cops? And question him? It just, the guy might be right, you might be right, but it sounds like he's not. That's so have a good one. It's a shit show and a clown show all at the same time, Dolphin. All right. I can't put no stock in that guy because he mentioned just multiple therapy stuff and ciphering. And like I said, there was a Twitter account that broke that down pretty good that showed it was pretty much false information. But y'all are inclined to, evaluate it on your own and come to your own conclusions. Personally, mine is it's nothing but BS. Ramblings, we'll call it. Ramble on. Okay, let me. All right. Who do we hear first? Dr. Ann or Dr. G, my second favorite doctor? Dr. Ann be my first. Dr. G just, I don't dislike Dr. Gary Brucato. I just have questions for Dr. Gary Brucato. You've said questionable things, and I think I deserve to ask questions about the questionable things you've said. If we can't have that kind of conversation as adults, because we know you read the comments or you like live for it and you address them. You literally live to read the comments because you want to know what people are saying about you. Okay, let's do Dr. Ann. Let me get my note here. Let me pull up this aired, what was it? 5 days ago. Let me get where we need to be. It's Brian Entin interviewing Dr. Burgess. All right, so we need to go. Right here. Okay, so y'all can go watch this whole live because they have a good conversation. But here's where it starts, where Brian asks her about her theory of what's happening in this case, and I'm going to start it at that point. Okay. Now, again, Dr. Ann Burgess helped with the creation of the Behavioral Analysis Unit with the FBI. She's one of the best profilers out there. The Mindhunter show was based on her. The character there was based on her as well. And she understands baselines. I think I might have learned that from you, Dr. Ann. Dolphin says that guy lost her as soon as he started talking about his father being FBI. Yeah, exactly. You can make it. You can tell. But I guess people believed him. You know what I mean? It makes you. Man, I worry about jury pools in America. I'm not. I may have to change my whole opinion on Ann Taylor's decision to put out all those questions because, man, if I'm a defense attorney, I'm worried. I am worried. We got some poor critical thinkers out there, and I got to evaluate each one of these fuckers before I can put them on a jury. I'm so concerned anymore. When I'm going to let this start, I'll go grab a Coke and we'll listen to a little bit of Dr. Ann here coming in. That guy had come in talking a little differently, but still, I don't know if I can believe anybody coming in now saying that's my brother at the door. I don't care if he never appeared to sound like he needed mental health help. If he sound normal, why the hell are you coming on YouTube and giving out that name and not going to the FBI and giving out that name? And don't sit here and tell me they're not responding, because they probably did question you, just like that lady over there in the Idaho 4 case where the FBI and the document said it's documented. She's calling and she called 36 times in different cases claiming to have information. Those people are just out there. Okay. Wackadoodle. All right. So let's start. Man, why do I feel like this is sometimes I don't even know why I come out here.
Theory. I mean, do you think this was a kidnapping?
Oh, I think something went very wrong inside the house. and that either she wasn't alive when something happened because there was blood. I mean, they have released that, and that there was blood also outside. So it isn't that something could have happened, but not have caused her demise. But because she at least gets out. So you've got some droplets. Again, we don't even know how much you have to analyze. And then why does it stop? Where does it go? Those kinds of things. Does it go into a car? Does it follow a path? Does it those kinds of things? It's just like it vanishes. She just vanishes. And so could they let a little bit more out? Yes, I think that they should, as this case has continued, as you said, for over 2 months. That's well, it's not a long time in terms of a kidnapping. We know that it can take a long time, but we only have cases usually of children is, taken for ransom is what we go by, but not the elder.
Yeah, that's what I've wondered, Dr. Burgess. Like, of all the people that you could kidnap, and let's just say this was because of the daughter, Savannah Guthrie, and you were going to try to get money, but still to take an 84-year-old woman who Savannah Guthrie said sometimes even has trouble walking into the mailbox. And there's a lot of rich people around. I just wonder why do you think this woman, why an 84-year-old woman?
Well, unless it was the target was somebody else in the family, and the object was to get someone that was close to that. That is a possibility that you could take somebody else than the actual target. And the other question you want to ask is who would benefit from this, and who is going to gain from this? Obviously, whoever took her. We know she was taken because she's not present, but the motive for that is very curious. I think if they could get the motive, you'd have more to go on. But right now we don't. And there is well, that Bitcoin thing came up. We do
Right.
know that. And so it's got to be someone that knows something about Bitcoins, right? It isn't some 84-year-old person trying to abduct her for some other reason.
Now, notice that she said they don't have a lot of elder kidnappings to go by. It's mostly children. And she's going to talk about how we have so little to go on to build a profile.
So money has to come in at some level, whether how primary it is, we don't know. Unless it's staged, unless it was staged, to throw everybody off.
What what do you mean by that staged?
For people to think that there was a motive like that, and it would still have to come from somebody that was involved, I think. But you don't have to accept that.
Mm,
It could just be someone. Law enforcement will always tell you that they get all kinds of tips when there's any type of a case like this. Hundreds of tips, they say. So you want to be real careful that they accurately are classifying the tips.
right, makes sense. When
Yeah.
you said that she may not, I think you said she may not have been the target. They may have taken her to get to someone else.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about that theory.
What?
What do you mean
Because people aren't talking about that much, Brian. Thanks for asking.
by that?
Well, who in her orbit, let's call it that. That could be family, could be friends, would be hurt the most? And I think you can answer that. We
Savannah.
don't have to, but
Oh, remember when this case first happened and where we were talking about the kidnappers and if that was not real, it was all fake because of TMZ. Okay, well, then we got a stalker then. And I said the best way to get to Savannah is to take her mother.
there's something could have come up there that we don't know about, and that's up to people in her orbit to kind of figure out. Yeah, because it's a very mean, angry, horrible thing to do. And then if it goes wrong, which obviously it did, I think, it doesn't make sense that she would be a target to do more than abduct her.
Yeah, yeah, it really is so perplexing. The person or the people seems like it would probably take more than one person to pull all this off.
Absolutely.
That have still been able to evade capture. There's the $1 million reward now. What do you think it will take? I mean, you've studied the minds. I mean, is there any guilt there that would eventually set in, or could it be the desire for the money that someone finally gives into?
See, I don't think, I mean, it could be, of course, but I don't think it is. I think there's something else operating here. $1 million, people, that's not a small sum. So as the money goes up, but it doesn't seem to have attracted anybody, any further information. I think you
Like she says, what she calls it is something. What does she say exactly? Something other going on than a kidnapping, right?
want to look at it from that standpoint. Nothing, zitch.
Yeah. So when you say something further going on, what do you mean? I feel like there's something you're not saying, sort of, like that you're.
Well, yeah, is there retaliation? Is there revenge? Is it you want to go down that line of possible motives and that this is some way of getting even or whatever?
Mm.
I'm just listing them. It's not that I think that it's any one of those, but those would be possible motives. I mean, we usually do that anytime we're profiling and trying to go after motive. Look at all of the possible motives and then start to narrow it down.
Do you think there's a possibility, and the sheriff has said yes to this question, but didn't really explain why. Do you think there's a possibility who did this could reoffend, could do this again?
I'm not convinced that will happen if you follow the logic that it's something else. If it's
Oh, if you follow the logic that it's something else, I'm here for it, ma'am.
what we call a personal cause. In other words, only to that person does it have meaning. So it's not like you have a serial offender that he's going to go out and do this to someone else. He
Yeah.
could, of course, I'd answer yes, he could, but it is someone that does hold a grudge. I mean, we're seeing some of these. Look at the last two cases that have been solved and how long the grudge went.
How long the grudge went.
Remember the Brown University case?
Yeah.
And the poor professor up here in Massachusetts was murdered. And then there was one other case I'm trying to think of the Tethy case, the husband
Yes.
wife.
Yes.
Those are years, 8, 10 years. That's a
Think about that. We know that the Tepe murders, that's exactly what happened. That dude sat and stewed for years about losing Monique, to the point he got in the car and drove over to her house and went right up in her home and shot and killed her and her husband with their babies asleep. That don't happen. People aren't obsessed like that. The fuck? Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
long time. You like to think that people that hold grudges or are paranoid or whatever, that it kind of wears itself out, but not in those two cases it didn't.
Yeah, that's a good point because the
So
Brown
it's
professor.
like I had said before, if it's even anything to do with like an obsessed person or stalker or whatever, stalker is different than obsessed person for different reasons. It's not that it may just be a whole kidnapping gone wrong situation, but what if somebody had a grudge against Savannah that went back 10 years ago? You got the job that I didn't get. Your life looks like this now, and mine looks like this now. I hate you. That could have very well be the thing. And when Anne and Maureen were discussing the women, it's like Maureen said, those pesky little bitches don't ever like to go away. People are underestimating women. I don't see why. How come only the man can commit the violent crime? Women kill their babies, but not kidnap ladies. They don't hold revenge against other women. Yes, they damn well do.
if they go back, I hadn't thought about this. They could have to go back a decade.
Absolutely. That's why legacy cases are very important.
Who was it, Fitz, who said that? They needed to go back at least a decade and look at Savannah's stuff, emails in the past that were never opened that could have been a possible stalker. Was there ever a stalker? Maureen has stated that Savannah did have a stalker in the past, and it was a female. That's when Dr. Ann said, "What? I need to know more about that." And that's when the room shut them down. And I was like, damn, y'all didn't even let them explore the theory only because it wasn't Dr. G's.
Very important. That's one of the first things you do when you have a case like you're looking at now is where has it happened before? And look what they've come up with. It's been the baby cases. It's been the Lindbergh case. Of course, that was money. But look at how bold that was. That's a pretty bold one back in 1932 that they put a ladder up, go up, and the family is home and they still get away with it, or at least they don't get away with it per se, but they get the baby out. Let me put it that way. What are the other ones? There are a couple others that they've had in the news since this case.
Someone that reached out for help or were either ignored or didn't receive. I don't know that it's somebody that reached out for help with their about. It may have been communications from an obsessed stalker, like, bitch, I'm gonna get you one day. It could be that, who knows? I don't know. Did somebody reach out to Savannah and want help with she's not like a criminal case reporter. She's a morning TV host that makes food, right? So I don't know that it would be that. I think it's more if it's even an obsessed person, they're mad at Savannah for something. They're very upset about something that happened in their lives, and it's going to tie to Savannah Guthrie, and it's going to be about their jobs. What else would it be? Could have been somebody that worked for Savannah that they thought she was just mean to them. I mean, the connection could be anywhere if it's to Savannah, because an obsessed stalker, they're not obsessed with Annie and Tom. They're not obsessed with Savannah's husband. I don't even think people know who the hell he was, a lot of them. It's got to be her. She's the face out there. She's the one out there, out there, out there. Who, if it is some kind of stalker, obsessed person, they got a problem with Savannah Guthrie, America's sweetheart.
A lot of people think the reason that this case has been so popular, I guess maybe that's not the right word, but people are so invested in it is because of Savannah Guthrie, the daughter. But I also think it's because so many of us with aging parents or grandparents, like this is our worst nightmare. You're always a little concerned, like your mom doesn't want to move into a retirement home and you're trying to give her independence, but you're always just a little bit worried at all times that someone's going to take advantage, like even with the scam phone calls. And it just seems like it comes at older people from every direction now. How do you think that plays into this?
Well, I think you raise a very interesting point. That could be a motive. That could be a motive. Pay more attention to our elders. So look at what can happen. You could have somebody that had an experience. I will always say they have to have had some genesis, if you will, of that. Did they lose an elder parent? Are they angry that nothing was done to help
take
that?
Savannah's mama and call her mama from now on. I'm not buying that theory at all.
Could stimulate or activate some. So I think you have identified another possible motive that's as remote as the one I gave.
Yeah, well, to take an 84-year-old like that, I guess you could be trying
I'm just going to go break into Nancy's house and take her to teach America a lesson. What's the lesson? Tell your mom she's an idiot and can't live alone. You going to put her in a home or she's coming to yours, one of the two, pick one. Is that the lesson we're supposed to learn? We can't leave our parents alone, even though they have all their faculties, because they can't get to the mailbox and back without a cane. It's time to put them out to pasture. Damn. Okay.
Send some kind of message.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so unusual.
And it has been. I'm not saying that's a positive of this, but it is something people have talked about and have thinking about. How are we handling our aging family members?
Yeah, yeah, I've certainly thought a lot about it just from covering it. Has there been, and I think you teach a class on this, you did teach a class on this, has there been an increase in elder abuse? I mean, is that something that we're seeing
Yes.
more of in America?
Yes, and that was raised in one of the,
What has
I know
elder
where,
abuse got to do with this kidnapping conversation? That just fuels a certain fire, if you ask me.
I've had now over 100 cases of nursing home sexual abuse. Now, my area is more sexual abuse, but it is something that is happening, and you would think that there'd be enough people out there saying, "Good grief, this is horrible." But they're not. You know, when you get into these cases, they will try to cover up the cases. Well, the nursing homes will. But there are people that, and it isn't just peers, you know, in other words, you can always have a resident, but the staff, you would say, well, people find that hard that a 84-year-old or an 85-year-old might be still sexually attractive to somebody. It is if it's what we call a paraphilia, you know, if that's their fetish. So you have to understand it from that standpoint, just as children are. So that isn't the most unheard of to have asked that question. And I think one person did ask me that. And I'd have to say, but that's not the way those cases happen, is what I said. I never knew someone to be abducted and then used sexually, as you might have with a pedophile, with a person interested in children.
So they would have, and I hate to even talk about this, thinking about like a grandma, but it's life. I mean, so if it was sexually motivated, you think they would have just done that in the house, but not taken her away? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah, and the way you know, there is elder pornography. So you have to realize that there are people out there interested in the older person sexually, or they wouldn't have the pornography.
Interesting. Disturbing to think about it.
Yeah, I know.
And in all those cases that
Was.
you had in nursing homes, it's like, again, I think
Nancy
this is
wasn't in a
something
nursing
that
home. She was in the confines of her own home with a masked man at the door.
is buried within a lot of us being worried about our parents and grandparents. And like all of this just makes you
Sure,
think about that, you know?
sure, absolutely.
The rumors
Back
about
to
the
what you were
card
saying.
being left at the door was the neighbor called the protective services when Nancy went missing, allegedly, and they came over and put the card on the door. Nothing we have seen, no documentation, nothing come out over the past 75 days to even pertain to that card at the door. Was that just one of those weird anomalies in this case? It could have been. I don't think Nancy Guthrie was being abused by her family. They have her journal. They better read it. If she even felt like Annie and Tom were mistreating her, she probably would have journaled about it. Because remember, even Savannah, they have said Nancy enjoyed journaling. I'm sure that journal was in that house, unless the kidnapper saw it and took it. Why would they take it? Do you think she journaled? I think I might get kidnapped. No. Nancy's journal is in that home. If Nancy felt some type of way about any of her children, she probably would have journaled about it. Maybe they'll read it when she's gone. I don't know. But I've just, they explore all these theories to try to rule them out, right? It's not like, and I think that confuses people. Like, see, it could be that, but she's ruling these things out, guys. She doesn't believe there's SA involved here at all. It does not fit the normal type of profile situation. God, we spent like a week hashing that out. Everybody wanting to convince. It could have been. We know it happened. They don't show up trying to ritually, right? So it would have been too easy to say that's why that guy was at the SA Nancy. Like, okay, nothing to see here, without even any indication that an assault had occurred inside the home. See. Yeah, the cards seem to be part of the standard, but you would think, I'm not even going to hash it again. You think the agency would have probably did contact, they knew she was missing by the time they got that card in that door, right? But I don't think there was a current investigation. Nanny and Tom knew it was coming. So we better go kidnap her and get her out of the house, so when they show up to question her about her alleged abuse, she won't be there to answer the questions, right? That's what we're doing. But we can't pretend an obsessed person did it.
About the vengeance motive, possibly someone, I guess, would it be someone maybe angry at Savannah that would do this?
Could be. It could be. I am sure that law enforcement talked with her about that. Has she had
Yes, a rock hound. Apparently that card was placed there after she went missing, not before. It wasn't there the night the kidnappers came.
any kind of over the years, it wouldn't have to be just recent, but over the years, did she ever get in?
And I also pointed out to people that doesn't mean Nancy was being investigated for someone abusing her. Nancy was 84 years old. I'm sure a lot of her friends were in their 80s. What if one of them had been being abused and they were coming to question Miss Nancy? Do you know anything about it? We're concerned about your friend. We have allegations that your friend's being abused. Could you help us out? It could have been that too. But no, it's no. Okay.
Any bad letters or anything along that line that would indicate that she, because a lot of people in high profile get them. And it could be someone that's just, not has the situation all wrong, but that's why people have to be careful. They have bodyguards or they have surveillance or whatever.
Do you think the ransom notes, or at least some of them, are real?
Well, the only one that seemed real, because it was, I think, contained in an affidavit, was the Bitcoin, where it was actually mentioned,
Yeah.
rather than, oh, I want $1 million or something like that. So I hope that they went over that carefully.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the strange thing is there was never really a proof of life, or when I think of ransom notes, I would think there'd be more detail there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why I don't.
We don't know what was in the notes. We've only got a little bit of blurbs from TMZ about what the first note contained. Savannah's read them. She responded directly to them in 2 separate videos. But we don't know everything it said. And I'll remind you, after Savannah said, "Now can you give me proof of life?" They're like, goodbye, and never came back.
I don't think they paid attention. You have to have proof of life. People aren't just going to fall for a letter saying, turn over your money.
Do you think that
We know that from reporting from people like Brian Entin and Mike Ruiz over on X, the boots on the ground reporters who saw it. That's where I'm basing it from. We did shows, gosh, 75 days in. That's so old to me that it's back there in the playlist somewhere. So we do have shows about that card being left at the door.
this will be solved based on everything you know and everything you know about what goes on behind the scenes with the FBI?
I do think it will be solved at some point. Now, how soon, I don't know. These can go on a long time. But I think it will at some point because, as I said, I think that more than one person was involved. And if that time runs out, I think we have to assume that to get her out of the house, especially since her daughter said that she was having trouble walking, so I don't know that she used a walker or anything. We don't have that kind of information, which would be helpful, and I don't think would compromise the investigation.
So you think they should release more? Is that right?
Yes, at least to a certain group. They could go to an outer circle. I know they must have an inner circle. Why can't they go to a group that really does this? I know that I'm surprised that maybe they have. I don't know if the FBI certainly always has the BSU, the Behavioral Science Unit, where they do the profiling. I would hope that somebody had been consulted there.
You mentioned how you work with the victims a lot, kind of on the other side of this. Everybody's thinking of Savannah Guthrie, and she just went back to work. Everybody saw her back on the Today Show. How hard is it, and how do you try to move on with your life when something is so unsettled and not solved? And also, I've thought about even with her, I wonder if she even fears for her own safety, not knowing who this person is and what the motive was.
I would assume she has added to her security, yes. And you don't move on. There's a part of you that will just look at how many unsolved cases we have. I mean, there are only only about half, if that, get solved. Even homicide cases where you have a lot of evidence, it's very hard to solve. So I think that it is to the advantage, unfortunately, of whomever is involved in this. That I'd like to. That's why you really want to have it solved, so that they don't think they can just get away with it, and the possibility that it is a serial offender. We never can say for certain that it is or is not.
But for Savannah, or for people who, like, when you talk to victims and it's unresolved, the person has not been caught, how do you deal with that day to day?
Well, what we suggest is that people talk with other people that are in the same boat. That helps a little bit. And so we set up virtual groups that they can talk about it, and then they can become involved in each other's search. And even if you solve one, it helps the whole group. So that's kind of where we're at with that. You can't just sit and think about it yourself. You really have to share the anxiety and the angst that there is, and those groups do sometimes come up with solutions. They find what works. That's important in any kind of traumatic experience, is what works, what helped the person move on. And that's what a group can do for each other.
And there was something else I wanted to ask you while I had you here. It doesn't have to do with Nancy Guthrie, but I don't know if you've been following Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo Beach, actually
Yes.
up in your part of the country. You're not too far from there, but he agreed as part of his plea deal to work with the FBI profilers to essentially be studied.
Yes.
And since you worked in that unit, how does that work? I mean, will they just visit him regularly in jail? Like, what does that look like?
Well, a lot of it's going to be the methodology. To answer your questions, well, it's not going to be one. I would hope it's not one meeting. That you really have to have one or two people that set up and develop a relationship, so that he will open up. Because you can't assume that he's going to give all the information. And so that will work over time. And I would hope they would have some kind of a schedule, so that there is time for him to think about, maybe get him the questions ahead of time, so that he can think about them, just a few, and work it that way. I suspect is how they're going to do it. And they'll probably, I would hope, videotape it so that it could be shown to others, so that you don't have to have him talking just to this whole big group, that it would be more more select in who goes. And you're also going to want to have somebody that has done enough of these before. That will be important, which I'm sure, they certainly have agents there who have done this. So it's not going to be hard for them to find someone.
So Anne never directly gives a profile on the guy at the porch, at the door, porch guy, because she has said too many times there's just such a lack of information. And remember, I asked, how do you build the profile if you don't know the intention of the person at the door yet? Because so many people you cannot tell me it's a kidnap for ransom if you told me yesterday that was all garbage. You make up your mind. Now, you all know what I'm saying. You can't. To me, that is incredibly wishy-washy and makes no sense. It's not kidnapping for ransom, and then the next day it is. It's like it doesn't make any sense. She's totally reserved on her profile because she doesn't have enough information, even down to how they made entry, because that helps you develop your profile on the person. And I don't know how you can develop a good profile. A good profile. FBI, like she said, I'm sure they have worked on their end, but I bet their profile is not leading back to the family. Maybe it is. Who knows?
That has some kind of somebody that has talked with serial killers. You're going to have that, because he's got at least 8. We probably sure he's got more. My opinion is he's got more, but at least he's admitted to 8.
I've seen some comment that they don't like that, in terms of him being interviewed and studied, because people think that that's just the attention that he wanted, that it will give him some kind of satisfaction.
Well, it will. So
Exactly.
I mean, how else are you going to get?
Well, it will. And so people don't like that because Rex might get attention. So, make sure y'all don't get attacked by the next Rex Heuermann or Brian Koberger or Porch guy, since we're not allowed to give them any breath and give them their 15 minutes that they already took from society.
Get the information. I mean, I know how the agents, when they were doing this back in the 80s and 90s, that was one of the hooks to get them, so that they had the FBI coming in to talk to them. That's a big deal, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Rachel says that she wishes the FBI would. What would we learn from a profile they did put out? How's that going to, I wonder how that would help catch the guy. Is it like BTK's wife realized when they released those writings, her husband misspelled the same exact words that the guy writing the letters to, and she never put it together that was her husband writing those letters. You know, like people say, release the ransom note. Well, it was typed, it wasn't handwritten. So we're not going to recognize his handwriting. We might recognize his, well, apparently it was AI written, because apparently there's, you know, no grammar errors at all in these communications. I don't know what releasing a profile would do for the case. A criminal activity person, we already got a height description and things like that, and weight. People are going to ignore the signs if it's their loved one. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna, like, in the back, they're gonna, that's like that. No, that can't be. He would never. I don't know if putting out a profile is even going to help, but putting out a bad profile is dangerous. I'm not so concerned about them giving me a good profile, because I completely understand it's hard to build a profile on Porch Guy. What I'm afraid of is the bad profiles going out about Porch Guy. That's what concerns me. I could care less if the FBI drops him a profile or not, to be honest. It's not going to help much, because all we have to go on is an image at the door. I don't know how they're going to be able to build a profile off that. Come out and say, okay, we got a criminal on our hands. Oh, that took a lot, didn't it? Y'all know what I mean? I'm more concerned about a bad profile going out.
They were revered, if you will, in prison, not in any way, not, and of course they're not revered, if you will, in the public's eye. So that did give them something.
I
Well,
guess
you
you
have a
kind of
trade-off.
use that to your advantage, I guess, when you
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, it's a negotiation. Both sides have to get something.
The other thing I thought of when this deal came down with Heuermann is I had covered the Brian Koberger case extensively, and I wonder why they didn't do that with Koberger, because there's still so many questions out there about why he did what he did.
I do too. I'm with you. They should have.
Damn right they should have. But they didn't make him do nothing. Makes me question them now.
They
I
should
guess
have.
they could have required it, right, for him to get
That's
the
right.
deal.
Well, Bill didn't want that appeal coming back to bite him in the ass. That's why Bill did it. That's my conclusion.
I think that's what they did with Heuermann.
Yeah.
Didn't they say, yeah, we will, we'll agree to you pleading guilty if you will answer, talk with our agent? Sure.
Instead, in Idaho, Koberger's like, okay, we'll let you take a plea deal, but you can't. All right? Okay? He's like, fine.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing that they didn't also do that with Koberger.
No, it's curious that they didn't.
Very curious, ma'am. Very curious indeed. Rachel, in some of them cases they put out profiles on, like most of those cases were like, old cases, and they would finally release a profile like you would see like sometimes on America's Most Wanted and stuff like that. I just don't know in Nancy Guthrie's case if they even have enough to go on to build a profile. That's my thing. And watching Ann, the top profiler in the country, in my opinion, very reluctant to give a profile. I got so much respect for that, because she doesn't know why. If you got a kidnapper for a ransom versus a stalker obsessed person, which she's referring to as the something else operating here, when she says something else operating here, she's not meaning money, ransom. She's meaning obsessed person. Okay. I just don't know if a profile will help get there on this guy. How do you profile that guy at the door when you don't know nothing about him? Yeah, old Bill over there at Burgers wouldn't tell the truth. How do you don't know, sir? Sit down with yourself. Have a seat. We'll get to you over the weekend, Mr. Koberger. Maybe not over the weekend, maybe next week. Your ass ain't going nowhere. But I do plan to do a show this weekend, and I got to get some stuff together for it. But I don't know if it'll be Idaho 4. I got to get my Kepner documents and stuff together. And there were some new documents dropped in the Idaho 4 case, but I knew they were pending to be dropped, and I knew they were about the damn restitution. And it's nothing pressing. It's enough to make me mad, but I'm not going to do it today. Because I'm so over that guy, and I'm just so over that guy. I'm so over you, Brian Koberger, the way you're treated. Okay. Now let me get Dr. Gary went on Brian Entin. When was this? When did they do this? A couple days ago? Oh, 20 hours ago. 20 hours ago. Now, he is a very different. Dr. Ann's very reserved in giving her profile, but not Dr. Gary. He's a little different. But to me, it's textbook profiling again. Let me get my timestamp correct, guys. We don't want to. Okay. The FBI can tell when someone's lying. I don't know if they can always tell, Rachel. I've seen they can't always tell. They've had some really hard cases that they had. BTK was one of the ones hard to figure out kind of guy. They got to spend a lot of time with those guys to develop their baseline and how they are. It's going to take time, right, to be with them. And they can base their lies actually on evidence that they have, Rachel, if that's what you mean, that kind of thing. But they can tell when they're lying. But they also expect they're going to lie. But there's too many cases out there where they have studied these guys outside of Brian Koberger for Bill Thompson to stand like a damn idiot and say the guy could lie. Well, duh, we know that. But do you know how many of these killers have spoken about what they did openly and honestly and very matter-of-factly more than not? I feel like I'm in preschool sometimes. Right? You know, get over yourself, Bill Thompson, who's going to lie. You might be the liar. Just saying, pants on fire. I read your little probable cause affidavit you signed off on. WSU finds car. No, hell, they didn't. They did. They didn't tell you they found it. It was wrong year. So why is that in the PCA? Oh, because you had to cover up the IGG tip. That still don't mean Koberger is not guilty, because I know that he is. I'm just saying, that's what Bill Thompson let that guy get away with some bullshit, because Bill Thompson was scared he's going to come back on appeal and bite me hard. And I don't know if it would have worked. Everybody tries to appeal. That's the normal. But there's might have been stuff in the Idaho 4 case that could have come back to bite Bill Thompson in the ass on appeal. I'll just say that. And we've said it critically several times in the past reading documents. It's like, what? That's a little gray area there we're not sure about. Okay, let me get to the timestamp here. The only thing about Koberger's case that I would want to hear about is not what he did to his victims. What drove you to do what you did to your victims? Let's go there. Let's start. Like Ann Taylor said, let's go all the way back to childhood, baby. Tell me all about your life. That's what they're going to be taken away from stuff like that, not tell us the gruesome details, right? I mean, that's part of it, but that's not all they're looking for. They're looking for the psychology behind what caused them to do that. That is the whole point of those interviews and exercises. That is the whole point. And I got to go let the puppy outside when I start this, okay, guys? I'm going to mute out and go let her out, and I'll be back in just a moment.
This is a financially driven offense.
Uh-oh, did I
What the
start already?
statistics and my experience come together to suggest to me is that there's one of two scenarios that occurred here. Either a person or persons went in to kill this victim and made an attempt to stage an abduction.
They could have went in with the intent to kill the person and then just staged an abduction. Why would they do that?
Or, and this is more likely based on the numbers and my experience, went in to abduct her for financial reasons, and it went south. Everything went haywire, and there was the need to eliminate the victim. Now, I will also tell you, and I want to be very sensitive about how I say this.
A need to eliminate. I think the victim died accidentally.
My statistics also tell me that if she is deceased, there is a very low chance that she will ever be located intact.
Statistics say that?
Offenders of this type are going to eliminate every trace of the individual.
Offenders of this type. What type is that? Offenders of this type.
Either by placing them in a deserted area where animals can eliminate the remains, or by burning or dismemberment or something like that. The idea being that in 2026, offenders are just a little too aware of how easy it is to get caught if there is some piece of somebody left. Now, again, it's very heartbreaking for me to say that, but I just think based on the numbers, I do need to say that. Finally, what I'll say is that if there is more than one person involved, and I strongly suspect there is, what I am inclined to think is that the person we're seeing on the camera, as I've said in a few places, is sort of like the waiter, and behind the scenes, there's some sort of chef.
And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of people out there putting a lot of weight on this man's words. Want to know if I've even considered everything he's saying. Yes, I have, but they're putting a lot of weight on his profile alone. It is being shared all over X, feeding the fire, fueling the fire, I should say. Kind of like that weird press conference we watched when he stood next to John Ray and displayed all of Rex Sherman's daughter's artwork as if she's the evildoer herself, right? That's Dr. Gary Brucato.
The person on the screen does not come across as particularly adept at what he is doing. He's comfortable, but makes a lot of foolish, amateurish mistakes. I mean, as simple as not wearing your holster correctly and in a way that could be very dangerous. The firearm not matching the holster, the flowers and the camera, getting caught on camera.
I guess he hasn't listened to some of the experts who talked about the holster and the gun situation. They're chalking it up to, oh, that was a stupid, dumb move. What kind of idiot carries their gun like that? That automatically made the guy at the door an idiot. And I'm like, hold on a second. My first thought was, that's a big, badass display of power right there. You can't miss. I don't think dude was worried about shooting his junk off, come to think of it. That right there. I got my hands. I got to get my bite lights in my mouth. I got to tie you up and stuff. You probably should listen to.
So I think that person is a not particularly bright, but willing to do horrible things type.
Not particularly bright, but willing to do horrible things type for somebody he was very well connected to. In my opinion, a sibling or a lover.
that might have been asked to participate in this by some more scheming individual behind the curtain.
Oh, yeah, them women are schemers. Behind the curtain schemer. Talks guy to go to the door. Okay, I can go with that. So let's go with it. First of all, is the cook in the kitchen male or female? We got to get to that part before we can finish out what the guy at the door was doing or why he went there.
And if I'm right about that, the more scheming person behind the curtain is going to be somebody who is living a little bit more of a double life. The type of person who would superficially look even pro-social or kind to the victim, but who has a reason to want to eliminate them. Do I think that the person who did this knew the victim? Yes, I do. 92%, as I said, of people who are killed, and it does look like that may have happened here, do know the person who did it in some way. So to put this all together,
because 92% of people killed know the person in some way. If this person at the door had any connection to Miss Nancy Guthrie, it wasn't a direct connection, in my opinion. It's a loose connection at best, right?
I'm thinking at least one male, probably a group of people collaborating, one more openly at least, and perhaps somebody behind the curtain or party behind the curtain, probably financially driven, probably was an attempt to abduct that went south, or an outright homicide, and in either case, probably some kind of financial motivation underlying it.
Gosh, you gave me a lot to think about there.
So Dr. Gary's theory is profile. It's all financially motivated. And everybody thinks the family has something really big to gain off Miss Nancy's property, as if she's the one that's wealthy when it's really Savannah, right? If I'm like, I'm gonna go to make so I don't know. I just don't feel like that's even fair at this point to continue to point fingers at people. For if you don't want them pointing fingers at random people's names being pulled out of the air, why are we directly accusing family and throwing shade at them? Under what statistics and my education tell me it's them, so I can say it all day long and twice on Sunday.
It's so interesting. Statistically, are there stats about how often something like this is solved? Because that's one of the big questions now. I mean, it's been more than 2 months. Do the statistics tell us whether there's a likelihood this will be solved or will go unsolved?
Well, it's a little tricky because remember that the statistics require that you know who did it in order to determine those details, those motivational details. So we don't wind up with data on, those features of unsolved cases necessarily. But what I can tell you from experience is that because people have a tendency to think of these cases like a TV show, they think that there should be a rapid, 30 minutes and it's all solved kind of thing. But the reality is they can take a very long time, particularly when you're relying upon something like a blend of DNA that's going to have to be meticulously teased apart. That to establish a profile where you've got mixed DNA could take something even like a year, take a long time. And then you're probably going to use genealogical data. My sense is that the way this might get solved is some combination of genealogical data from DNA, which is a common technique these days, and then also trying to catch whoever door guy is, who I think is probably going to lead to the center of the spider web. So that individual could be told, look, you can make a deal here and maybe it'll lessen your sentence, or these people don't care about you, they'll throw you under the bus, that kind of thing. But I think that once they identify one,
I think if it was an elaborate handful of individuals, they took care of door guy, they ain't got to worry about that loose link at all. It's gone.
person in what is probably a group, because it's very hard to do this alone or to even understand why you would. It's going to lead probably to the center of a circle. Do I think it'll get solved? I actually do, but I think it's going to take some time. And I am of.
Now, I'm not going to keep playing because his conversations get so long with not Brian, but Dr. G. The thing is, Dr. Ann's been very reserved about making a profile of the guy at the door, but Dr. Gary has an absolute profile of the guy at the door, and they work together. They're both like supposed to be top in their field. It's very different And I don't get why. I mean, I understand what him exploring certain things about the case and that you have to explore the family members, but that's been done to death, right? Um, at some point, you got to say, why do y'all keep rehashing that? I mean, he literally goes on the interview room panel every Sunday, and when they discuss this Guthrie case, it's always going back to the family. And even McDonough, Annie's car was such a hard thing for him to handle, and it's like tunnel vision over there. But he absolutely is aware there could be so many other things at play here. But it feels like they're just feeding a narrative, and I don't know what to make of it. And I find it dangerous to put out bad profiles. That's why all the actual legit retired FBI profilers I've watched, they're having a hard time coming up with a good profile for the same reasons I've listed. We don't know the intent of the guy at the door. Until we know more about that, we can develop a better profile. So at some point, it does become dangerous if your profile points to a family member, especially when we got rogue YouTubers out there chasing said family member around in his car. But, the panel over there on the big platform, they're better than those little YouTubers out there wreaking havoc. They might be following some of your content and following your lead and now chasing the guy that y'all all think is suspect. But, we'll point fingers at the haves and the have-nots. Was that what we're doing? It's odd. It's odd. Hey, Royal We, welcome in. Yeah. Look, it's no secret. Everybody in Tucson knew who Nancy Guthrie was and who her daughter was. Everybody. It was put on full display. It was proud moment. Home, girl from Tucson makes it. Savannah herself has put her mother on the NBC show multiple times. She was back in November. They did this big coming home or whatever the hell they called it. Nancy Guthrie all over it. Of course, people knew who she was. And I do lean more toward kidnap for ransom. And people's going to argue with me because of those damn TMs. I'm not talking about south of the border guy bogus bullshit letters, but those first two. And like somebody on a YouTube streaming from the front of Miss Nancy Guthrie's house wants to call her daughter a fool for even considering those first two might be real, as if you saw them yourself and talked to the FBI yourself. You just concluded in your head they have to be false because TMZ was somehow involved. And how dare Savannah believe it? Well, hell, y'all hang on every word TMZ says otherwise. I'll say it again. You hang on every other word TMZ has to say, except they're mailing their own selves these letters, dumbasses. I can't. People don't make no sense. They talk out their ass. They talk out one side then the other. And what they said today is not what they say it differently tomorrow. It's odd. And if you're bouncing around from different channels and you're trying to, get updates on something or want to follow a story you're not really covering, you want to make sure that the information coming out of there is right. And if you go watch a lot of channels, like, oh, we got 50 channels and 50 different pieces of information, when we all have the same information. We all have the same information. All we got is a guy at the door. And I'm not a lot of, we got speculation about the family. Now Annie's a witch, that kind of thing. It's wild to me. Let me, and if you didn't join the beginning of the show, y'all join or go back on the replay and watch the beginning. Couple of updates on some misinformation in this case that's out there spreading around right now. People apologizing for the way they covered the case and claim, all the things. Because every time we turn around, there's some kind of misinformation out there. And if I don't, if I see it, I don't address a lot of it, but then people want to ask me about it, like if it means anything, and I don't think it does half the time. Savannah knows more than we do. Yes, she does know more than she's supposed to know more than we do, right? She's the daughter of the missing. So she's the one communicating with the police, her and her siblings, right? So she absolutely knows more than we do. And she said in her interview that she saw those first 2 ransom notes. And y'all saw me read from the Gannon stock thing there. They could, I gifted out some memberships. Royal E, welcome in. Mrs. W, is that how, did I say that right? Susan, welcome in, and Amoya, welcome in, guys. It's just sometimes it feels like if you come on and do a show just based on evidence and facts and going through documents and stuff, it's like, okay, that, a lot of people come for that. But I also feel like a lot of YouTube is here for drama, and the more of it, the better. Am I confused about that? I cannot with all that drama. There's a lot of drama you can discuss out there with all this stuff going on, but it's just weird. The back and forth that have, when cases go, can we say it's a cold case at this point? When do we officially call it a cold case? And will the bad information continue to come out? When you're out there just trying to put out what is out there, and there's no documents here to dive into with this case yet, nothing except FBI is not giving anybody anything. They're not holding press conferences. Nanos is trying to get his shit together. He's got to go back before the board here soon and give his answers to their questions about why he lied about stuff on his resume and all that going on. So he's a little preoccupied at the moment. So that, the Twitters and all the things are just running amok with crazy information. And I think it's wild to continue to come out here every single week and have such tunnel vision. And the fact that I see those cops continue to have such tunnel vision in this case is really, really a scary thing to see. Lord, hold on. There's a bunch of YouTubers or I don't even know what do you want to call them? People on YouTube, social media platforms going at each other right now, all over the Nancy Guthrie case, and it's getting a little out of hand. Because injunctions are going out, different things, cops being called. It's wild. It's like this is about a missing lady and a guy at the door that nobody could figure out who he is. And why no reporters can't get to the actual law enforcement members to ask valid questions, right? We know there's no point in going over there and talking to the sheriff. He won't even give Entin a damn interview. He's like, no, Brian Entin, I want to interview you because you said nasty things about me and my little feelings are hurt now, and I demand you do better, sir. Brian's like, dang, Sheriff, I didn't do nothing but report facts, not fiction. It's a difference between fact and fiction. And how can I take you seriously, anybody seriously, about cases they're covering when they act like blooming ass idiots on the internet? Come on, man. I've heard you say some pretty bizarre things in the past, and I cannot. That's why I always say y'all be careful out there, because you got to be careful where you get your information from. And sometimes it's hard to. God, I know I spent a long time in Delphi and Idaho for trying to figure out, oh my God, who do I listen to? What's real and what isn't? Just give me the documents. Let me read them for myself. Let me read the documents, please. Simi, how's that sanding going? Hey, Phoenix. What's up? I don't know, guys. What do y'all think about profiling the guy at the door? Do you think it would help if they did come out with a solid profile released by the FBI? I, it's so weird. Said I know that the 35 documents were dropped in the Anna Kapner case. They became unsealed because her brother was our stepbrother charged, but a new federal grand jury indictment came down and unsealed all 35 of the documents, I believe. In his original charge, he was charged as a juvenile back on February 2nd, I think it was. February 3rd, he was arrested and he pled not guilty during a private hearing. February 6th, he appeared in court before Judge Torres and was granted the pretrial release. And then March 10th, the new indictment came down. Now, we have learned with the unredacted stuff, there was SA involved. I don't know the extent or how they determined it yet. I haven't read the documents for myself yet. I know Plunder did drop a small video, but she didn't go into any details, I don't think, about I do remember her saying there was a lot of repetitive information in the 35 documents, but that doesn't matter. There usually is, because there's different motions that were filed, and of course they have to respond to the motions. So I'll get those downloaded this weekend so we can review them. I got to get up with Keith because TC Keith is I'm gonna see if he's available this weekend, maybe tomorrow night, so we can start our Delphi stuff, because I really want to bring him on and maybe get somebody else on as well. And I just to talk about the appeal process in that case, where it stands right now. There's a lot going on there that I have not been real good at keeping up with for the past 2 weeks because I've been deep in other stuff. So I'm going to pull Keith in, and we're going to because I've been saying we're going to do this show because I want to talk about that appeal, and it's a whole separate show than anything Nancy Guthrie, and I want to keep them separated that way. So I do have somebody else in mind that I've talked to in the past who would love to come up and talk a little bit about Delphi. But they really wanted to go over the Oldberg testimony, and I have not forgotten about that, Miss Ma'am. So if you're listening, I have not forgot about you, and it's still on the table. It is still on the table. It's Thursday, Dolphin. I knew what today was. No one had to tell me. I don't know how I knew. I don't even think I had to check the calendar but one time today. I did for the date part. Like, I knew it was Thursday, but I didn't know the date part. You know me. I don't ever know. I don't look. So I got things rearranged again, got my setup back in the back of the house, out of the living room. So even if there's people around in the house, I can still go live. I don't think my grandson's going to be home all weekend, though. You still, Dolphin, you're pulling a me over there talking about what I'm going to do over the weekend. She thinks it's the beginning of the week. Well, I took 2 days off. I got tired of true crime, but I had a lot to do at the house, so I just did all that and listened to things in the background while I was doing them. And like I said, I can get the 35 documents from the Kapner case. I just haven't got them yet. I got to get those downloaded and all that good stuff. And we'll do a show on that. The rest of those photos, Dolphin, did you see the rest of those photos were dropped in the Koberger case? Let me show you. I think Connor put out the whole drop. Let's see. I think he had a link over there. I saved it, but I don't know where I put it at the moment. It's the ones I showed in Discord of the up close of Koberger's his hens. Okay, here it is. And it's just like the ones we saw already. They're just not, they don't have a watermark on it from the people, from a creator, public record and all that. Anyway, he dropped them all without any watermarks, and people online were speculating that the pictures that were released were altered because of his hands looking all weird. Like, no, nobody altered them. That was just weirdo. Yeah, Dolphin, this is all 25. Or this is the 25 without the watermarks on them. And then see that one, is it a bruise or a birthmark? I can't tell. I'm not going to, it is what it is. Could it be a healing bruise? Could be. Could be a skin discolor. See how the redness in his hands, the white on the knuckle. There's something more going on here. This guy wasn't just scrubbing his hands to get germs off. He wore fucking gloves constantly to keep the germs off his hands. So I don't buy that his hands look this way because of over scrubbing. I know the guy's got autoimmune, so I did some research of what that could possibly be. Renown syndrome comes to mind. That doesn't excuse you for being a killer. I got autoimmune disease too, but I can't be a killer. It doesn't affect my mind. It affects my body in bad ways some days. My body's a rejection on certain days. So I do feel for you. I mean, I get you your visual snow and your ear ringing and all that. I got the ear ring. And see, and if you zoomed in on this hand, is it going to let me do it back here? Oh, it was already. That appeared on the knuckle, appeared more to be a healing of a. And this finger is completely bent a little. That's why I'm telling y'all there's something way more going on with this guy's finger. And look at the knuckles, the way everything is done. There's circulation issues. Something's going on here. I don't know what's up with his jagged nails. I couldn't tell you why he did that. Because the redness starts, it's not even in the arm, it goes down to the hands. Could that be from wearing your gloves way too much? Right, Dolphin? YouTube says you wear gloves all the time. But WSU, in any of those statements, nobody ever said he was obsessed with wearing gloves all the time. He didn't start the glove wearing until after the crimes, right? After he committed the murders. That's when he began to wear those gloves. But I don't think this is a direct result of him scrubbing his hands constantly. They don't. Over hand washing won't cause the discoloration I'm seeing in here, the redness and stuff. And there's more on this hand, this finger is bent. That is more toward rheumatoid arthritis, which my sister has. So I know what I'm seeing. My family is a walking billboard for autoimmune disease, turns out. That's not weird. My mama always said I'm an alien. My body is not normal. And it took doctors forever to figure out what was wrong with my mother. She said, see, I told you. People who don't have autoimmune maybe will never quite understand how bad it affects your body. And there's nothing you can do about it except fight symptoms with some medication. And maybe try to play around with your diet, because that absolutely has a whole lot to do with what triggers your autoimmune. And you got to keep a food diary, because certain foods will trigger you that won't trigger the person next to you. There's a whole lot that goes into trying to manage autoimmune. I think it's too easy to sit here and look at those red beat up hands and say, oh, look, he was scrubbing his hands ferociously. He was doing all this weird shit. He's weird enough. He don't need me to add to his weirdness. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say all that was from obsessive hand washing. What was that ain't going to change the fact that you killed people. It's not getting rid of your blood DNA off of the sheath, right? It's too late to wash your hands, all that now. So I think that's a weird theory to have, that Kohberger's hands look that way simply because of hand washing. You know what I mean? It's like, stop and think and go back and remember Kohberger's own post about his struggles with his autoimmune and stuff. No, Dolphin, you're right. That's a good comparison too. The morning of the thumbs up selfie, well, we noticed his knuckles looked a little weird and there was redness in his hands, but it doesn't appear to be as bad as what we saw just now. You know what I mean? We'll have to get those together for comparison, Dolphin. We'll do a show, because I'm not done with the case, of course. Yeah. And like Dolphins mentioned, that was on the DM. The Koberger documents that did drop, guys, they're just about the restitution. He's like big mad about having to pay restitution, I guess, still to this day. Which I don't know how he's going to pay for it sitting behind bars, especially if we don't want him to make any money off selling books. How are we expecting to pay? Why not let him sell books to pay the damn restitution? How is any of that supposed to work? Are you going to take his 15 cents a day earned in prison to pay the family back? Nobody wants him writing books and making any money. Okay, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, so he's never going to repay this family. So why are we even battling in court over how much he owes the family if we don't want him to write books? I don't care if you write a book or not. Give the profits to what you owe, right? Give it to victims funds, different things. They can make laws to say where the money goes, because if they want to talk, let them ramble on. Who's going to stop them? But it's ridiculous to not let them have any income and then go to court and fight over fucking restitution when they're in jail for the rest of their natural life. How's that supposed to work? You can only get so much a month in commissary money, though. Okay, I don't know about the damned prison, but in the county jail, you're allowed $100. You're not making, they were like, oh, the family put thousands of dollars in there. I don't see how. Because in Florida, if you put money on a commissary book, if it's over $50, the state's taking some money to take care of your ass. If it's less than $50, you don't got to come off that $2. But if it's more, you're coming off of it. They're taking it, to pay for taking care of you. I don't know if prisons have a rule about how much per month they're allowed to have on commissary. His parents aren't going to be able to dump thousands of dollars into his account every month or every year. They don't have it like that. So you can't even depend on the commissary money to pay. What you going to get, $10 a month? Y'all know what I'm saying? It's just a ridiculous fight if you ask me. I understand why you want it, but it's ridiculous. The child is gone. Nothing is going to bring it back, not even $1. And that's a fact I know. So this one is about Jeff Kernodle's. On August 26th, the parties stipulated the defendant owes restitution to the victim, Jeffrey Kernodle of Avondale, Arizona, in the amount of Mr. Damn, Kernodle, you live in Arizona. Stop. People are going to be pointing fingers at you in a minute just because. Okay. Jeffrey Kernodle, $8,843, based on the state's motion to amend the Restitution Crime Victims Compensation Program, has paid the amount of $5,000 to Jeffrey. So they're thinking because he's already made $5,000 off of the victims fund, he don't need no more. Now the order of restitution is hereby amended and the judgment is hereby entered. So it's just fighting over money. Defendant in the favor of Jeffrey Kernodle in the amount of $3,843 with interest. So it's just a back and forth about money. And there's also been another document dropped, I think, in the WSU lawsuit, but it was more like laying out the ground rules for each side on the I guess for laying out for trial in that case or whatever. Again, Idaho continues to unseal documents that don't have fucking nothing to do with Brian Koberger himself and the crime he committed. No, it's going to be the roommates' text messages, interviews with all the friends in town. Oh, and here's some more stuff now about restitution, but nothing on Brian Koberger and our investigation on how we got to this guy. Isn't that becoming curiously odd? Poor Idaho got the same problem Indiana had with the clerk of court situation. Can't get it together. You cannot redact materials fast enough to get them out. The bloodlust of the public is coming after me. We might have to here in a minute. There's still an ongoing lawsuit was it EWU Media about them not releasing the documents yet in the Koberger case, even though we've been told they were going to be released. Yeah, the Gonzalez family's out there kicking it hard, trying to get laws changed. There's a lot to be out there done. Would the money in the commissary be considered an asset? I guess it could, but I'm saying, you know, it was rumored that the parents. I don't see how people can dump $30,000 into. All right, I know somebody who went to prison. Okay, back in what 19 shit, I don't even know how long it's been. That dude's been in prison for 25 years, I think. So he was 18 years old and he killed a man. Damn near killed his friend because he was a hothead. These were two grown ass men with families. And he took one of their lives and severely injured the other one. All right, he had to go to 25 years to life in state prison in Florida. He also has a lot of money coming in every single year from the reservation because he's Native American. He doesn't get all that money in prison. He had a power of attorney over his money, and they sent him certain amounts of money every month because you're only allowed to have certain amounts per month deposited in Florida prisons. So I don't know how it works in Idaho because there was the rumor that his family dumped like 30 grand or more or just a bunch of money into his account or something. And I thought that was the strangest thing I'd ever heard. Why would you? Here's 100 grand. We mortgaged our house, baby. You'll be fine in prison. You can't send that much at one time. It's weird. So y'all think a bunch of people will fund his commissary? Well, that's fine. Let them fund it and then take a lot of it. I don't think are there enough people out there sending this guy thousands of dollars per month, and we're like, oh look, he's living life large and he's rich in prison. I don't know. I need to see the account. I need to see the account to see how much money's going in there. Until then, it's speculation. I know there's a lot of people out there who are probably willing to absolutely send money to his commissary. But I don't know. I mean, it's like that's a small amount of money, y'all, no matter how much. You just don't get to put that much money into commissary at a time. If he had 30,000 in an account, I don't know. I don't think the guy had that much money at all. If it went directly to his, I gotta ask if his family's attorneys said, yeah, that's a great idea to drop that much money into an account. I don't get that. I guess I need to pull up some stuff and share with you guys on how that. I don't know. I don't even know anymore. All I know is, yes, you're the family. Fight for your restitution. Get it on paperwork. But how you ever going to be teen women jump in, send them all their life savings every month? There's still not going to be enough to know how it works in Florida. If you go over a certain amount, the state's taking it for their reasons, and then the rest is yours to spend on commissary. I don't know. Does that mean that would also mean that anybody else ordered to pay restitution would also have their money deducted from their commissary, right? Because it can't be just Brian Koberger. It has to be the law and the same rule for everyone. So I'm going to research it. It'll give me something to do when I'm sitting outside later. Should be just as easy to research as the Son of Sam law. Should be pretty easy. So let me make my note. What about Brian's prison income? They letting him work, or he's still in a hole, except he's out one time a day? I want to know if they can take the funds for restitution and how much can we deposit in said fund. It'll be all on the website. Just like here in Florida. Okay. Yeah, I remember it being in the document, but I don't remember the exact amount, Dolphin. I cover a lot of cases, right? So I don't remember the exact amount that the family threw in there. But I'm just saying they'll never do it again, right? They may have learned their lesson. Koberger's not sitting in jail, prison, all rich. He's sitting in prison holding a lot of secrets. He's I don't really give a fuck anymore. What I'm mad about right now is Idaho not releasing documents. I got more beef with that than I do over the restitution. Really. Because now it does appear you're hiding things. You don't want the scrutiny. I don't understand why they won't release these documents at this point. That should really bother a lot of us, because public record is public record. And if we go sealing up everything, guess what? We just lost the game of life when we allow our government to keep everything sealed from us and trick us into thinking it's for the best. I'm not happy these documents are all still sealed up, even though I believe the guy did it. You're putting a big stain on public transparency and what is allowed under the court of law. And why y'all are dragging ass on releasing these documents is really starting to bother me. I'm not going to have nice things to say about it. And don't tell me you got this lazy ass ladies who can't go in there and do their job. Hire some help, get it done. You knew it was coming. You knew that all these case files were going to be unsealed at some point. You knew all the every legal document has to have a redaction of private information. Do that from jump so when the release comes, you're ready for it. Oh, you mean we do actually have to release them? We never thought we would. What? It's becoming a shit show. Right, Royal? We ain't having it. It's just becoming to a point where it's aggravating me, and I'm sick of seeing Dylan Morton's text, because I'm a grown-ass woman, and I feel icky when I trash a 19-year-old girl for her ridiculous fucking behavior, right? I'm tired of it. Give me something more. Okay, well, here's a bunch of interviews with a bunch of random people that they knew all the victims. A couple that knew Koberger sprinkled in, right? Well, what? No, I don't want that either. I don't want to sit for an hour and hear a fucking young kid talk about all their friends. Because it ain't got me nowhere. There's nothing in any of that that's going to point the finger to the real killer, right? We know who the real killer is. Unlike Rick Allen, he wasn't drugged when he was. Rick Allen didn't go to court and say, I'm going to get a plea deal and I'll admit to it. Completely different situation. So Koberger's guilty because he said so with a straight face, and he was not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol when he decided, yes, I did it. Where do I sign? And a lot of times that's when the bad information still circulating out there. There's people still trying to unpack all this to show us that Koberger's not the guy, based on this and that and this and that and that and that and that and that. Well, everything's still sealed up. So how y'all getting to those conclusions is, we're getting little crumbs here and there, right? There's nothing to pick apart yet because we don't have a lot except what little bit they have dropped. And hell, who knows if what they haven't dropped will shed any more light on anything, honestly. They buried the IgG stuff. There was no real investigation into finding Brian Koberger because they tried and couldn't find the guy. They're out there interviewing everybody, and look at all the interviews they did release in Idaho 4 on Connor's page alone, right? They were looking at everything and everyone and coming up short. Not really their fault. I might can blame WSU for finding the car and going, oh, it's not the right year. We don't even need to call nobody on this one. But they chose to, somehow that came up eventually because it got put in the PCA. But, Yes, they're working on a legislation and all that for the Son of Sam law. I'm just not here to unpack all that today. I honestly don't care at this point. The fight I'm seeing in Idaho 4 It's not the fight I want to be seeing. A fight to release the documents. I understand the family wants the severe photos kept out of the public eye. Fine, but you're not taking these documents away. I don't care what's described in those documents. You are breaking the Constitution and the law if you tell me we can't have these documents because there's sensitive information about the crimes against the 4 victims. We know it was fucking horrific. But we can't let you get away with hiding these documents because you feel like it's too sensitive for the world. What about the case that came before yours and the case that will come after yours that are just as devastating and disgusting? We have had to read horrible things in court documents, right? We don't get to hide these because a few people want them to stay that way. Very odd behavior. And if they won't even come out and say, well, sorry guys, give us a minute, we're having a tough time getting the redactions done, we have to hire some more staff, it's just crickets and silence, you know what I mean? And that's how the information starts going when people don't have anything to read or a document. You can dive into the documents and find a million ways to Sunday as to why they're wrong, right? Oh, there goes the coppers after somebody. That's rare out here. It's probably a wreck somewhere down the highway. But I think if more was released, it would give less fuel to some of the stuff. Like in the Nancy Guthrie case, there's not any information coming out, so information is being made up or being twisted, right? That's the thing, when there's not enough. And unfortunately, in Nancy Guthrie's case, there's still a trail of misinformation that's weeks and weeks and weeks old that people are still confused about, you know, and I hate that. I absolutely hate it. It's like that's been discussed so many weeks back, and I thought we, you know, and so that lets me know that misinformation still being bounced around out there and it's not being clarified. Like when people host panels and they want to discuss ransom notes, they don't clarify to their panel guests the first 2 aren't the TMZ batch because they start automatically and they lose their train of thought because they get stuck on it's all fake. It's like, no, steer your guests back the right direction. You know, it's becoming a little odd to me. And I see, like I said, I've seen more and more people reevaluate the photos and the video and are starting to come to the conclusion that guy on the porch may not have been as dumb as we thought he was. What the hell's happening? I got to turn on the scanner. Oh, shit. That is not good because I'm in such a rural area, guys. That was a state trooper, I think. There must be a bad wreck down the highway. I'm going to turn on the scanner and listen. Okay. Casey, welcome in. Yeah, they'll figure out the legislation over there. They'll figure out how much money these freaks have to pay their victims going forward. I'll let them battle that out all day long. You know, I've already pulled up the Son of Sam law here and read it once because somebody told me I was wrong. Like, I did my research. I read it. I promise. Oh, dude, I looked up 2 of those meds you were on again, too. I'd forgotten about those 2 meds. I have questions about those 2 meds. Anyway, getting back. I don't know. So then, you know, even when documents are dropped, you know, people are like, oh, look, they're altered. That wasn't altered. We just saw the originals on the Google Drive, right? I guess because people slap their watermark on there, there's a possibility they altered them at the same time. Somebody got imaginations if they're doing all that. They're like, oh, I'm going to get these photos of Koberger and I'm going to do this and that to them, make them look all weird. Man, who does that, right? It's like people who use those weird AI photos of Koberger. Why? We got real ones that are weird. We don't need the fake ones. All right, guys, there's been nothing new come up in the investigation. Obviously, we know that. I think Oh yeah, when Savannah introduced the guests on TV, and then when they came back to do the interview, Savannah was no longer on the set, and people were thinking it was a Nancy Guthrie update. Remember that article we read about there was a code word that the staff would say to one another there, if Savannah's mom, like if there was breaking news on Miss Guthrie during Savannah while she was live on TV, there'd be a code word said that would get her off, camera real quick and hustle her to the back to let her know. I don't know. There's rumors out there that people over there at NBC are fighting amongst themselves over Savannah's seat and cutthroat bullshit that is weird to me. It's like if what they say about NBC going on is true, that puts obsessed stalker person at the front of the leaderboard to me. Because there's a good chance that person would have come from NBC TV at some point. Oh, I like to go through their roster, look at all their fired employees and let go people. I don't know. There's an article out there about the Today Show and the Hoda and the other guy that's on there. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Was it this one? Yeah, here it is. This came out days ago. And I can't forget that whenever the profiler or a retired law enforcement was over there on I forget where he was, and he talked about his time in LA and how he worked on that the team that handles kidnap or stalkers, and how many times a year NBC would have to approach with, "Hey, we got another one bothering a talent. We got another one. How many y'all got over there at NBC? How many do y'all have?" Butterfly sent flower for 30 jewels. What is happening and what does it mean? I don't know. She's like, I don't know. I just sent them. Hey, maybe it's some sort of algorithm thing. We don't know. So that we had that this morning and now you're doing it. That's cool. I don't even know what that is either. You saw it was available, so you tried it. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know what it does. Wild, isn't it? It is wild. Okay, we're going to wrap up with this article and then Hawkeyes coming in hot, 7 months. Yes, ma'am. We enjoy having you here. And thank you so much for being a member for 7 months. We love having you over here. I appreciate all of y'all that do come over here to listen to me, to talk about the cases, and just to watch and listen to the show, because I don't have a lot of bells and whistles. I'm not here to try to entertain as I'm talking about true crime. I don't have multiple channels. I don't drop 1,000 links and 50 ways to pay me. I just try to come out here and talk true crime with my friends. So for those of y'all who continue to come back for that, I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Behind the smiles, the very grim truth about Savannah Guthrie's Today Show return. Tears co-host Tension and NBC's 3 secret code words that could help upend her life. This is the one. Didn't we read this one, guys? There are no words that Savannah Guthrie shared. Those are the words Savannah shared in her first moments back. Let me go down. This is the wrong article, I think. This is one we've already reviewed. Oh, wait. Let me go down here. Okay. But beyond her loyal viewership, the Daily Mail is told that Guthrie also has the full support of the network, including top leadership, who have had her back the entire time. According to the source, Guthrie returned in March. This is not the right article. Hold on. Oh, here it goes. Okay. The source added, would give her enough family time and to see if there was anything promising to happen with her mom's search. Okay, according to the source, Guthrie returned in March. In her first interview about her mother's disappearance, the former Today Show host Coda Hobie, or Cotby, whatever her damn name is, who filled in for Guthrie during her absence, Guthrie told NBC that she was interested in returning co-hosting duties around now. Now, there's some weird stuff that goes on over there at NBC, and I don't know if it's true or not. If the stuff I'm hearing that comes out of there, a bunch of backstabbers and stuff, okay? Now, right now, this Craig guy is away on vacation. All right. Hoda has been a big talk of the town kind of thing for a while over there. So, revealing interview with Guthrie was reportedly the source of some behind the scenes ire at Today. Guthrie's co host, Craig Melvin, allegedly feeling devastated that he was passed over for the interview. An insider told the Daily Mail at the time. So apparently he was not even asked. He was upset, apparently, because Hoda got to interview Savannah and not him. What kind of... this is childish. And if NBC's that messy and their co-hosts are butthurt, who else worked there that got butthurt over something? Huh? If we got grown-ass adults who camera up every day and smile for America while cooking food, behind the scenes are jealous, and that's within her own network. Nancy's disappearance came mere weeks after Guthrie underwent vocal cord surgery that forced her to take time off. Oh, Savannah's coming back. I wanted her to stay gone. I'm guessing. A temporary departure that at the time elicited cruel comments from colleagues. A source previously told the Daily Mail that without the anchor on set, there was less tension and more collaborative. And they felt more collaborative. So, wow. Peers, however, were left riddled with guilt after news of Guthrie's family's tragedy broke. So while Savannah was out recovering from vocal cord surgery, some of her colleagues were going around glad she wasn't there, less tension, more collaborative effort. What in the world are y'all talking about? And then the peers were left riddled with guilt after hearing about the tragedy of her mother being taken. So we got messy ass adults all over the place, and I just cannot with messy ass adults. I don't get it. But if all that's going on in Savannah's world today, right now, what's went on over there for years? Who got mad in the past? Who got passed over for certain I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't see how they can be taken off the table at this point. You would think, though, if it was a stalker obsessed person, they're not going to be smart enough to get away with it. At some point, they would trip up and get themselves caught, especially if they had any kind of communication with Savannah. So it puts it more along the lines of a kidnap ransom gone wrong, right? It's, in my mind, it's one of the two. And I don't know really which one to follow at this point. It's like expensive. Oh, thank you, Tricia. $10 at the super chat. I don't know, super stickers. I don't even know what they're called, y'all. Whatever it's called, I appreciate you for that. Yeah, I don't know how to be anything else but me. I can sit here and tell myself, second guess myself. Am I doing the right thing? Am I, should I go live? Is anybody even going to care? It doesn't matter. I think it will. I'm just going to have to come out here and be me. It's all I know how to do. Right? So I appreciate you. And for all y'all that come in and do unpack these cases with us. Like I said, I'll be working over the weekend. I need to get with Luke. Why did I say that? I was looking down at my notes and saw this name Luke and said Luke. I need to get with Keith about an upcoming show if we're going to do it this weekend or maybe the next. We can get all of our material together to get a good update on where we stand with the Delphi appeal. Um, that's a far more important appeal to me than Lori Vallow or Letitia Stock. Letitia gets a new trial. She's not going to win it. She's already been granted it. Lori gets one. She's not going to win it. Rick Allen, I have a lot of questions. So I want to get that show for our Delphi peeps in. And also um, the Anna Kepner file. I got to get all that downloaded. Aw. Teresia and Hawkeyes, thank you both so much. I appreciate y'all. We appreciate it. I do. It makes a difference and it helps. And I don't know. I don't give y'all lots of bells and whistles. I'm not an entertainer, right? I'm just here to discuss all the cases with you guys. I appreciate it. But see what I do with funds like that is that's what I get. Like if I go to Patreon and buy the 35 files, that right there helps pay for stuff like that. And that's where that's the only expense I have to run the show, right? Is if I have to pay for documents at some point. I did back in the Stearns case. We paid for a few drops, but that was it. You know, there are a lot of times these FOIA requests, you can go get the documents, and sometimes you can't, like with the Kepner case, because it's federal, it's on Pacer. So you have to pay for them. And I don't mind doing it, right? But that's where, if that's where I spend money at, is things like that. I don't want you guys coming in here and me dropping 50 ways to pay me. I don't understand why people got to do that. Where's all that money going, right? That's your sole income. I get it. And that's okay. But you don't get to come out here and point fingers and call people grifters when you've got 50 ways to pay on your channel. That's what I'm saying. It's not right to do that to people. They're all just grifters. Excuse me, ma'am, but you got 50 ways for me to pay you right now if I felt inclined. What is that? Anyway, we do it because we support. I thank you for that. Yeah, Dolphin, they're on Pacer, and I got a direct. I know Paula has them available on Patreon. I think they were $11 on Patreon, which is less, maybe less than what Pacer was going to charge. I don't know. I got to go look and figure out, because I get the Pacer account and you can download them from Pacer, but you got to pay to do that. So I don't know which way I'm going to do it yet. I might just go grab Paula's file like I've done in the past. It's so easy. May do it that way, but we'll get them and read through them. And of course we'll be paying attention to that case as it unfolds, guys, because her brother, our stepbrother, has now been charged. Hell, we got the case here locally that the two boys are being charged as adults. Florida will absolutely charge children as adults in a heartbeat. It happens all the time here. It's never that big of a question or a debate. Is that going to happen? Because 9 times out of 10, those kids commit a bad enough crime, they're going to be charged as an adult. And we got 2 14-year-old boys right now being charged as an adult for killing a 14-year-old girl in the woods. So the fact that her brother was charged with an adult is not just a felony type thing. That's a Florida thing, right? Florida's like, we ain't fucking playing with you kids. Get your shit together. Act right. Damn youngins, act right. All right, guys. I'm going to go touch some grass too. I got a couple of things I got to do. I got to go let the puppy outside. Let him outside. Let stuff get reorganized. And I sat outside a lot yesterday. It felt so good out there and so nice. Oh, and my daddy is on his way home from having his second cochlear implant done. God, I pray it works this time, because they put the first one in his left ear that had been completely dead for 30 years and it won't work. So the one ear that does have capability to hear got the cochlear implant today, and they're on their way home now. So prayers my daddy can hear me after he gets recovery, because I'm ready to get in the boat and go fishing with my daddy. Like I want to go fishing so bad. The weather's too nice. The time is right. The water's calling, right? The water's calling. So anyway, y'all go have a good one. Be safe on them YouTube streets. Careful where you get your information. If you venture off into that weird place known as Facebook, please be super careful over there. And come back to the Twitter or the YouTubes, or research it yourself, and like, is this person making any sense? Or come ask, be like, hey, have y'all heard this? What do you make of it? Because there's just a lot out there anymore, and it's insane. What is Dolphin says she's jealous. What are you jealous of? Ooh. Yeah, look, I'm gonna try to get better at getting my schedule back together for us, like we used to run on. Now that I'm getting things back. Oh, okay. Hawkeyes was taking a lunch break, prepping lasagna. Ooh, yay! I don't know what we're having tonight. I have no clue. I winged it yesterday. Dolphin, you sit there with that can of spray, girl, and they start coming near you. Bzee. I got the wall spray out there now because there's already one buzzing around the pole barn, and I know damn well he's about to make him a nest. They do it every year. I have to keep that stuff out there. But I'm ready for a hammock too. I just said the other day I got to get me a new hammock. Can't we order some with the bug nets on them? Y'all know what I'm talking about, like the mosquito net. I'm more concerned about the mosquitoes than them damn bees biting me. It's them Florida mosquitoes that'll come tote you off in the evening when you're trying to relax in your chair, and here they come. You went to your wine dinner last night? Nice. All right, guys. Well, y'all get out and touch grass and enjoy the beautiful weather, unless you hate the spring and summer and you're like a winter lover. That's fine. Do you. No judgment. No judgment. All right. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my afternoon. And I almost said I'll see you guys in the morning, but I don't think I will. It'll be tomorrow night. It'll be tomorrow evening more than likely. So let me figure out what we're going to do, and I'll get back with you guys and let you know. Keep the notifications on and watch for some posts over at the community tab, and I'll try to keep you guys updated. Thanks a lot for coming in. Y'all go have a good one and stay safe out there.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe and follow. Much love from Little Yas to